You are welcome to Dave Tutor Academy, where we are devoted to building excellence in students in STEM subjects. We are going to be looking at one of the past questions from the WAEC GCE exam, that is the private candidate exam, and we are going to be focusing on the January exam of 2019, and mathematics is the subject. So we are going to be looking at all the 13 theory questions from the exam paper, and we are going to take time to analyze and give detailed solution with clarity on all the questions that are being featured. It's going to be quite loaded, so I want you to just get set, get that pencil, get that biro, get that paper. Let's walk along together. I'm always an advocate of the fact that you need to get your hand dirty. You don't learn just by watching these videos. Walk along. Just also you do your part so that that excellence will indeed be your portion. Now, before we go ahead, we want to solicit, help us share this video. There are a lot of students out there that this is exactly what they just need for them to be who they need to be in life. But without somebody getting out to reach out to them, there is no way that can be possible. So please help share these videos to students around you, to your loved ones, your younger ones, your relatives, your students. Help us share them on your YouTube, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your LinkedIn, on your WhatsApp, on your To-Go, on all your social media, so that we can really make that academic excellence possible for that student that is going to need. So let's go ahead and do our video together. Okay. In this question, we are to solve the inequality 1 plus 4x over 2 minus 5 plus 2x over 7 is less than x minus 2. What we need to do as a rule of thumb is to first find the LCM of these two fractions, and the LCM here will be 14 since both of them are not factors of one another. So we just say 2 and 7, the LCM is 14. So we are going to have 14 as the new denominator, and we can just go ahead to input that and say we have 14. Okay, now 14 divided by 2 is 7. That 7 will be used to multiply the whole of the numerator in this first fraction. So we have 7 into bracket 1 plus 4x. Then this negative sign minus 14 divided by 7 is 2. That 2 will be used to multiply the whole of this numerator in the second fraction. So we have minus 2 multiplied by 5 plus 2x. We close the bracket. That is how to find the LCM and carry out the algebraic process on fractions like this. Then we have our right hand side. It is less than x minus 2. This is just as if we are having x minus 2 over 1, because we know that any number divided by 1 is still that number. So I'm expressing like this so that we can find it easy to cross multiply. Okay, so 1 is going to multiply all the numerator on the left hand side, and 14 will be used to multiply the numerator here on the right hand side. If we are to do that, that means we are going to have, since 1 times all of this will still remain all of those, because 1 will not have any effect. I can have it as 7 multiplied by 1 plus 4x minus 2 multiplied by 5 plus 2x. Then this less than sign. Okay, then 14 multiplied by x minus 2. So now we have a linear expression in this inequality that we can solve by opening the bracket. So to open the bracket, we say 7 times 1, that is 7. 7 times 4x, that is plus 28x. Okay, minus 2 times 5 is 10. Okay, minus 2 times plus 2x. This negative sign will multiply this positive sign to give a negative sign. 2 multiplied by 2x will be 4x. Okay, this is the right approach to open up a bracket when you are multiplying with a negative sign. Then we can say this is less than 14 times x is 14x. Then 14 times minus 2 is minus 28. All right, so having that and doing that, we are on the right track. What we now need to do is to collect the like terms. The expressions that we have here that are having the variable x can come to one side. The other expressions without any variable can go to the other side. So I'm going to take x to the left hand side and the ones without variables to the right hand side. So here I have 28x. This minus 4x is here, minus 4x. When this 14x, which is positive on the right hand side, when it moves over to the other side, it becomes minus 14x. Or it's as if you are saying that subtract 14x from both sides. This 14x minus 14x will cancel, and on the left hand side we still have the minus 14x that we're subtracting. Okay, then we have the less than inequality sign. Here we have minus 28. When 7 is taken to the other side, we have minus 7. When minus 10 is taken to the other side, it becomes plus 10. All right, so doing that, we can now express this correctly by simplifying. 28x minus 4x, that will give us 24x. That 24x minus 14s, that we are saying 24 minus 14, we just have x as the addendum in this case, so that will give us 10x is less than minus 28 minus 7. We have negative in two places, so the negative sign will be taken into effect, and here we are going to have minus 35. Minus 35 plus 10, that will be minus 25. Okay, so we have simplified this so far like this, but we can just eliminate the coefficient of x by dividing both sides by 10. So this 10 here can cancel this 10, and we're going to have 1. Then here 5 can go in, minus 25, that will be minus 5. 5 can go in 10, that will be 2. So we can say x is less than minus 5 over 2, or we can even simplify further to say x is less than minus 2.5. okay, because 5 over 2 is the same as 2.5. But as a rule of thumb, always represent your inequality on a number line. Always represent inequalities on number line. Whenever you have inequality questions like this, make sure you put it on number line, and that is what will assure you that you are going to get your full marks. Okay, so if you want to do that here, since we have just x to be less than minus 2.5, we can have our straight line. Okay, and you can use whatever unit you want to use. You can say this is 1, this is 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and minus 4. Okay, what we are concerned about here in this particular case is minus 2.5, and we can see that will be between minus 2 here and minus 3 here. It is the midpoint, that is where we have minus 2.5. So because this is only a less than sign without the less than or equal to, okay, that means we are going to use an empty circle. Okay, and then x is less than this value, means that the value of x will go towards the negative, towards the left hand side. So this, you can say it is x is less than minus 2.5, and you are sure that you are going to get your full mark. So that is all there is to this question. In this question, we're told that if x ratio y is equal to 3 ratio 5, we should find the value of 2x squared minus y squared all over y squared minus s squared. What we need to know is that we can substitute by this ratio. We can substitute for the value of x or y, such that we can say x ratio y is the same as x over y, and that is equal to 3 over 5. From here, we can say, okay, x will be 3y over 5 if we cross multiply, or we can even say y is going to be 5x over 3. We got that by cross multiplying here, so that we have y and 3 multiplying each other, then x and 5 multiplying each other, and then we divide the bases appropriately. If we are able to note this, then we can easily go ahead to solve the question. Like for example, we can just say, let's say we want to use y is equal to 5x over 3, then use this in equation. Okay. So if you want to use this in the equation, that means you cannot say 2s squared minus y squared over y squared minus s squared is going to give us, instead of putting in y, we are now going to put in 5x over 3. So we have 2 multiplied by s squared minus our y is now 5x over 3, and we are squaring the y. Okay, then y squared, again we have y as 5x over 3 raised to power 2 minus s squared. You can see it's only x that we are working with here now, and we can further go ahead to simplify this by saying this is the same as having 2s squared minus 5 raised to power 2 is 25. Then we have this x also taking the power over 3 raised to power 2 is 9. Then we can divide by 5 raised to power 2 again is 25. We have the s squared divided by 3 raised to power 2, which is 9, then minus s squared. If you look at this, we can take this to be take it as a numerator over a denominator. And this division line, okay, you can actually take it as divided. Okay, so if I'm to rewrite this and put it on a straight line, I can say that means I'm having 2s squared over 1 minus 25s squared over 9 all divided by 25s squared over 9 minus, okay, this can be minus s squared over 1. I'm doing this so that I can easily find the LCM. So in the first case, I can say 9 is the LCM for this. 9 divided by 1, that is 9. 9 times 2s squared, that is 18s squared, minus this 9 divided by 9 is 1. That 1 times 25s squared, that is minus 25s squared. Okay. All of these divided by the same thing I'm going to do here. Divide both sides. The same thing I'm going to do here, find the LCM, which is 9. So 9 divided by 9, that is 1. 1 times 25s squared is 25s squared. Then 9 divided by 1 is 9. 9 times s squared will be s squared. So I put this minus sign, then I have it to be minus s squared. Okay, so this is getting simplified more and more. 18s squared minus 25s squared, that will be 18 minus 25, but we need to include that s squared, so we can add that to be minus 7s squared. So we have that to be minus 7s squared over 9, okay, divided by 25s squared minus 9s squared. That will be 16s squared, okay. That will be 16s squared over 9. All right. Now, anytime we're having division like this, we know that we can rewrite the equation to be minus 7s squared over 9 times. Now, this times, since we are changing the division to times, it will reverse the order of the numerator and denominator. So 9 will come to the numerator and 16s squared will come as the numerator. And with this, we can just simplify. The 9 can divide this 9, and s squared can divide this s squared. So our final answer will now be minus 7 over 16. And I'm just sticking to the rules of algebraic processes and making sure that we follow through with our substitution, in which here we are using y is equal to 5x over 3. You will get your answer correctly. Alternatively, you could have said s is equal to 3y over 5, and you will see that you arrive at the same answer. So this is the solution to this particular question. Try out the substitution of x is equal to 3y over 5 and confirm that, we'll get the same answer. All right. The second, fourth, and sixth terms of an arithmetic progression, that is an AP, are x minus 1, x plus 1, and 7 respectively. We are asked to find the common difference, the first term, and the value of x. To solve this question, first we need to know the formula for the nth term of an arithmetic progression, and that is given as Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1 multiplied by d. Tn, this is the nth term, a is the first term, n is the number of times, and d is the common difference. So looking at this question, we are told that the second, fourth, and sixth terms are x minus 1, x plus 1, and 7 respectively. Respectively means that x minus 1 is the second term, okay? X plus 1 is the fourth term, and 7 is the seventh term. So if I just want to put that correctly, I'll say this is T2, okay? Then this is T4, the fourth term, and then 7 is the sixth term, that is T6. So having this information here, we can look at this formula and see how we can use this given information to find these questions that were asked, the common difference, the first term, and the value of x. Let's try and appropriately put that into this question. So if we are to consider the second term, T2, which we are given to be x minus 1, we know that will be equal to a plus n. N is 2, the number of times, because we say it is the second term. So that will be 2 minus 1 multiplied by d. This is going to give us x minus 1 is equal to a. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 multiplied by d is d. So it is a plus d. We can note that as one of our equations, and in short I'll call it equation 1. Okay. So for the fourth term, T4, what we are going to have is that we have been given the fourth term as s plus 1. So this is x plus 1 is equal to, using this formula again, we have a plus, now n is 4 because we are looking at the fourth term. So I'm going to have 4 minus 1 multiplied by d. And if I simplify that, that means x plus 1 is equal to a. 4 minus 1 is 3. So I have plus 3 multiplied by d. I can call this the second equation. And then looking at the sixth term, that is T6, that was given to be 7. We're told that 7 is equal to the sixth term, that is a plus n here is 6 minus 1 multiplied by the common difference. And in this case, I'm going to have 7 is equal to a plus 6 minus 1 is 5. So I have 5d. And this is equation 3. Now, looking at these three equations, we have three unknowns, x, okay, a, and d. And we have three equations. So the equations are sufficient to solve perfectly these questions by whatever method you want to use. Looking at these three equations, I would prefer to first use equations 1 and 2. Here, this equation 1 and equation 2. If I'm to subtract them from one another, because I'm seeing x here and I'm seeing x here. So if I say, let's say equation 2 minus equation 1, or conversely equation 1 minus equation 2, anyone, I'm going to see that the x will be x minus x, and I can be able to have only a and d. And look at this third equation, I only have a and d as unknown, so I can easily solve for them and just move ahead with the question. So what I'm going to say is, let's say I have equation 2 minus equation 1, okay? That will mean that on the left hand side, I'm going to have x plus 1, that is equation 2, minus x minus 1 coming from equation 1, the left hand side. I hope you understand that, okay? Then that is equal to a plus 3d for equation 2 minus a plus d from equation 1, looking at this right hand side. All right, so if I'm to simplify this, I will just have this to be this x minus x, that will just knock themselves out, that will be 0. 1 minus minus 1, this minus and this minus will multiply each other to become plus, so I'm going to have 1 plus 1, so this is going to give me 1 plus 1 is equal to, here I'm going to have, okay, let me just even open up the bracket. So let me just say this will be x plus 1 minus x, then like I explained before, this minus times this minus, they become plus, so I have plus 1 is equal to, here, a plus 3d, and if I'm to open this bracket, this will be minus a, and minus times plus will also be minus d. All right, so having this now, I can see that x minus x here, this x minus x, of course, that will give me 0. Then 1 plus 1, that will be 2. So I have 2 is equal to a minus a, that will also be 0. So that will also knock out, and I'm left with 3d minus d. 3d minus d will be 2d. All right, so to just forge ahead with the question, I will just draw the board down a little bit. So now I can say, looking at this question now, I can divide both sides by 2. This 2 will cancel this 2, this 2 will cancel this 2, and 1 will be the result, meaning that d is equal to 1. All right, then since I got d already, I can substitute d is equal to 1 in my equation 3, and this is equation 3 here. Okay, this is equation 3. Let me substitute the value of d into that so that I can get a. So I can say that is 7 is equal to a plus 5 multiplied by d, but since d is 1, I can have 1 to be used there. Therefore 7 is equal to a plus 5, and this means that a is 7 minus 5, so a is equal to 2. So I have d is 1, I have a is 2. Then looking at either equation 1 or equation 2, okay, any one of the two, I can now substitute for a and d. Let me say, using a is 2 and d is 1 in equation 2, I'm now going to have, in equation 2, what I had initially was x plus 1 is equal to a plus 3d. That's the initial equation that I have. But now I want to try and substitute for a and d, which I've already gotten. So I can just say, from here, I can just say I have x plus 1 is equal to, what's the value of a? That is 2. What's the value of d? That is 1. So I have 3 times 1, meaning that x plus 1 is equal to 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2, that is 5, and therefore x will be 5 minus 1, and 5 minus 1 is 4. All right, so if you are to look critically, we've been able to answer the question that were asked: the common difference, the first term, and the value of x. All right, so we can just, as a rule of thumb, you can just effectively write out your answers and say the common difference d, is equal to 1. The first term Okay, the first term a is equal to 2 and the value of x is equal to 4. And with this, we have answered this particular question correctly as requested. Without using mathematical tables or calculator, we have to simplify log to base 2 of 8 plus log to base 2 of 16 minus 4 log to base 2 of 2, all divided by log to base 4 of 16. Now, one rule of logarithm that will help us a lot is to know that if we have logarithm to a particular base, let's say a, of the particular base again raised to power, let's say m, this will be the same as m log to base a of a, and log to base a of a is 1, so this will be m. If we are to employ this and try and apply it in this particular equation, we'll see that it's going to be easily simplified for us. Maybe in a subsequent video, I'm going to work out all the questions from this particular past question that can be solved or that can be confirmed with your scientific calculator. But here, let's just go ahead and obey the rule without using tables, without using calculator. Let's solve this. So if that is the case, we are going to have log to base 2 of 8 is the same as log to base 2 of 2 raised to power 3, because 8 is 2 raised to power 3, okay? Then plus log to base 2 of 16 will be log to base 2. 16 is 2 multiplied by 2 in 4 places, okay? So that will be 2 raised to power 4. Then minus 4 log to base 2 of 2. Alright? Then we have all of these being divided by 16. So we can just have this. We are dividing it by log to base 4. 16 itself is 4 raised to power 2. Okay? Now, once we have this like this, we can easily, like I explained before, like I explained here, you can just apply this rule that since this base and the logarithm we are looking for, they are the same. In short, 3 can come out and this will just be 1. So if I'm bringing the power forward, what I'm going to have is 3 multiplied by log to base 2 of 2 plus, here I'll bring the 4 down, 4 multiplied by log to base 2 also of 2, okay, minus 4 multiplied by log to base 2 of 2, and you can see this 4 log 2 base 2, 4 log 2 base 2, they will just subtract each other, okay. Then I can divide everything by, here the power can also come down, so I have log to base 4 of 4. Like I explained before, this is nothing but 3 multiplied by 1, because log to base 2 of 2 is 1, over 2 multiplied by 1, because log to base 4 of 4 is 2. And with that, you can just see that that means our answer is 3 over 2, or you can say it is one whole number, 1 over 2. So, as requested, we simplified this particular expression that we are given in logarithm, and the final answer is one whole number, 1 over 2. That's 1.5. In this question, we're told that if 1342 to base 5 minus 241 to base 5 is equal to x in base 10, we are to find the value of x. Now, since the left hand side is expressed in base 5, but the right hand side is expressed in base 10, we will do well to first evaluate the value of this left hand side, and then the resulting solution we can convert to base 10 so that we can find x as appropriate. And if we want to do that, we just need to carry out the subtraction in base 5. So we have 1 3 4 2 in base 5, okay, minus 2 4 1 also in base 5. And sincerely, this is made easy because we don't even have any number that is up to 5, or any number that the numerator, the one on top, is less than the one below, so that we can borrow a digit. So we can just say 2 minus 1, that is 1, 4 minus 4, that is 0, 3 minus 2, that is 1, and then this one we are bringing in out. What we just did is the subtraction of these two values, and that is giving us 1101 to base 5. So what we're now told is that 1101, which we just evaluated in base 5, is the same as x in base 10. So how do we express 1101 in base 5 to x in base 10? We do it like this. We multiply each of the values of these entries, okay, by 5, just as it's being shown. 1 multiplied by 5 plus 1 multiplied by 5 plus 0 multiplied by 5 plus 1 multiplied by 5. And then we take the powers of the base, which is 5. We take it from 0 to the highest. We take it from 0 to whatever value we are going to stop, starting from the right hand side. So to express that, we just say this is 5 raised to power 0, 5 raised to power 1, 5 raised to power 2, and 5 raised to power 3. All right, this is how you convert a number in a different base to base 10. And even that the base is 3, we do the same thing, but instead of using 5, we use 3. So to now find the solution to this, 5 raised to power 3 is 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, so that is 5 times 5 is 25. 25 times 5 is 125. 125 times 1, that is 125. Okay, plus 5 raised to power 2 is 25. 25 times 1, that is 25. 5 raised to power 1 is 0. 5 raised to power 1 is 5. 5 times 0 is 0. Okay, plus 5 raised to power 0 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. All right, so here we have 125 plus 25, that is 150, plus 0 and plus 1, that is 151. So this is equal to 151. But recall, we're told that this 1101 to base 5 is x to base 10, and we just find the value of this in base 5 to base 10 as 151. Therefore, our x is equal to 151. That is the solution to this question. 151 is the value of x. In this question, we are to find the value of AB if log to base 10 of A is given as 1.3010 and log to base 10 of B is given as 1.4771. The best solution for us to use to solve this, the best solution for us to employ in solving this, the best solution for us to use to employ, the best solution we can explore in solving this is to actually do what I thought the logarithmic transformation. Okay, and to do a logarithm transformation, it is expressed that if we have log into base A of x to be y, then by logarithmic transformation we can say that x is equal to a raised to power y. All right, what you need to note is that it is the log of x that we are looking for, okay, or we can say it is the log of x that we are given, but we can express this logarithmic expression in exponential form such that this base, which is a, can now come to take the power of y that we have here. Okay, that's why we have y as a power. And using this transformation, we can solve for x as appropriate in the question. But looking at this question, we are given the value of the log to base 10 of A and the value of the log to base 10 of B. If you want to find out how to solve this, we can just say by this transformation, that means that our A from log to base 10 of A is equal to 1.3010. Then A will be 10 raised to the power 1.3010. And in the same case, log to base 10 of B was given as 1.4771. Then B will be 10 raised to the power 1.4771. You need to understand the concept of this logarithmic transformation to exponents, okay, so that you'll be able to apply this to solve questions in this format. So having this already, our AB can actually be solved easily by saying this is 10 raised to the power 1.3010 times 10 raised to the power 1.4771. Now, by reason of the laws of indices, we know that anytime you have A raised to the power m multiplied by A raised to the power n is the same as a single A, then you add the power, okay? Since we know that, then we can say our AB is going to be 10 raised to the power 1.3010 plus 1.4771. And if we are to add that, we can see, okay, starting from the right hand side, 1 plus 0, that is 1, 7 plus 1, that is 8, 7 plus 0, that is 7, 4 plus 3, that is 7, 1 plus 1, that is 2. Okay, so this is what we need to input into the calculator. I can't solve this directly. As much as I want to limit the use of calculator here, I will need to bring in the calculator now. Okay, so I can say 10 to the power of 2.7781. What's that going to give me? So this is going to give me 599.929. So this is 599.929. Or I can say AB is approximately equal to 600. But I'm not asked to find the approximation. I can leave the answer like this, or I can go ahead and say it is approximately equal to 600. Here in the diagram, we're told that O is the center of the circle. So O here is the center of the circle, and angle ACB is 39. So this is the 39, and angle CBE is 62. This is the 62 degrees, and we are to find the interior angle AOC. So we are looking for AOC, the interior. Okay, thank God they said interior. We are not looking for the exterior. So the interior will warrant that we are looking for this angle shaded in red. Okay, the interior angle AOC, and then the angle BAC. So BAC. So that angle I'm also going to show in red. So this is the angle BAC that we're also looking for. Now, how do we get these two angles that we are asked to find from this particular question? We are going to be using the circle theorems and looking at means of applying the theorems to help us solve this particular question. First, there are so many ways you can go about trying to solve this question, but for me, I think the first thing I would like to note is that looking at the line ABE, I can see that that's a straight line. Then I can find this particular angle here. Okay, that's angle ABC. I can say angle ABC plus angle CBE, the one that is given as 62 here, plus angle CBE. If we add them, that is going to give us 180 degrees. And what is the reason? Is because sum of angles on a straight line is 180. Okay, sum of angles, not of, sum of angles on a straight line. Okay, it's always good to give the reason why you are writing out your postulates when solving for circle theorem. So now that means I can get ABC, so I want to use the ink for that. That means ABC plus CB was given as 62 degrees, that's 180, and with that ABC will be, that implies that angle ABC is 180 degrees minus 62 degrees, and if I'm subtracting that, that will be 0 minus 2, that's 8, so I've borrowed 1 from 8, remaining 7, 7 minus 6, that is 1, then I have 1 here, that is 118 degrees. Okay, so this angle here is 118 degrees. Now that is the first step. Looking further into this question, I can also see very clearly that if I'm to extend this particular diagram and look at what I'm going to do now, because I know this angle 118 already, I can get the angle that this particular chord AC will bisect at this circumference. So I can say, let me just take this straight line here and also come down to point C. I'm using broken line just to denote that I'm the one using this. Now I can find this angle. If I call that angle X, I can say from the diagram, I know that angle X plus the angle I just found now, angle ABC, the sum of the two will be 180 degrees. And what is the reason for that? Is because they are opposite angles of cyclic quadrilateral. Opposite angles of cyclic quadrilateral. You can finish up that one yourself. Now, for you to understand all this, there's a video that I've done on understanding circle theorems, and it's quite old. That will be like 2 years now. You can check it out. It will give you a detailed explanation of all these theorems that you can use, that you can apply to solve this particular question. So these two angles that are opposite to each other, and they form a quadrilateral, meaning they form a shape with 4 sides inscribed in the circle. This is one side, this is another side, this is another side, and this is another side. So that is 4 sides, meaning quad. They have 4 sides, and then the angles in question, angle X and angle 180, they are opposite. So it is that they add up to 180 degrees, or we say they are supplementary. So that means X, angle X, in this particular case, we can say X will now be 180 minus ABC. But we know that our ABC is 118 that we just got. So X is equal to 62 degrees. Okay, that's another thing that we just got. Now, if X is 62 degrees, I can now find angle AOC that we are asked to find. How will I get angle AOC with this that I've already earmarked? I can easily say, look, from this diagram, angle AOC is equal to 2x. And there's a reason for that also. It is because angle subtended by a chord at the center of circle, and the center of a circle is twice the angle subtended at the circumference. This is just the theorem that we need to know for us to be able to solve this particular question. Okay, so if you know this, then definitely your work will be quite easy for you to just draw out and get your answer. What I meant by this is that, okay, the diagram is now moving towards the upper part. This is the angle AOC, okay, and this is the chord called AC that I'm talking about. We can see that for this chord, these two angles are actually the one that are starting and ending with the chord. So angle AOC is at the center, angle, this angle X is at the circumference. So by reason of that theorem, we're told that this angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. So therefore, angle AOC is equal to 2 times 62, and 2 times 62 is 124 degrees. So that is the first part of the question, okay? So I can just put in that this is 124, and then our X, we found X to be 62 degrees, okay? So I can now go ahead to try and solve the second question now. So now to proceed with the second question to find angle BAC, initially we just got angle AOC to be equal to 124 degrees. That's also shown in the diagram here. Now to find angle BAC, look at angle BAC. Already this is as good as done. We know angle ABC to be 18. We know angle ACB to be 39. This is nothing but a triangle, and I will just draw that out. If you look at this angle now, you just look at the way the diagram is. We have A, we have C, we have B. Already we have gotten this to be 118 degrees. We are giving this to be 39 degrees, and we are now looking for this. Okay, let me call that theta. Just by reason of the understanding that the sum of angles of a triangle adds up to 180 degrees, we can solve this question. So I can say angle BAC that we are looking for plus angle ACB that we are given as 39 degrees plus angle CBA that we evaluated as 118 degrees before. If you add all of them, they will add up to 108 degrees. Why? They are sum of angles of a triangle. So knowing that, already we can just plug in the values that we know initially so that we can get our BAC. So we can just say that means angle BAC plus, what's the value of ACB? That's 39 degrees. What's the value for CBA? That is 118 degrees. They will add up to 180 degrees. So 39 plus 18, okay, that will be 9 plus 8 is 17, remaining 1. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus that 1, that is 5. So we have 157. So angle BAC will be 180 degrees minus 157 degrees, which is the sum of 39 and 118. And if you have to evaluate that, the correct answer will be 180 minus 157, that is 23 degrees. So angle BAC is 23 degrees. And with that, this question is solved. If you are having difficulty understanding this, just check out the video on the circle theorems. Take your time. It's just about 10-12 minutes, and you will get a good grasp of questions like this so that you can solve in subsequent times. All right. In this question, we're told that the cost of dinner for a group of tourists is partly constant and partly varies as the number of tourists present. Now, it cost $740 when 20 tourists were present, and $960 when the number of tourists increased by 10. Note that it is increased by 10, okay? So we have to find the cost of the dinner when only 15 tourists were present. First, to solve this problem, we need to understand where it's coming from. And by the time we are getting to see the word, it's partly constant and partly varies, then we know that we're talking about variation. All right, so this is a question on variation, and we'll try to first coin out the formula that will be suitable to express what we are being told in this question, so that we can now apply the variables or the values that we are given. We can apply them into the variables, and again we'll be able to estimate when we have only 15 tourists to be present. So now let's try and interpret this into mathematical formula. We're told that the cost of a dinner for a group of tourists is partly constant and partly varies. Let that cost, we'll take it as C, okay? The constant, we'll take it as K, and then the number of tourists, let's say that will be N, okay? So going ahead to solve that now, that will mean that when they say it is partly constant, that means it's not varying at all. But what we are looking for is the cost. So C is equal to partly constant, means that is a constant K, okay? Then it partly varies as the number of the tourists present. Let me make the constant of proportionality, let me make that as T, okay? Then the number of tourists, let me make that as N. So I'll say this is NT, okay? Where C is the cost. Okay, let me use blue ink for that. Where C is the cost, N is number of tourists, okay? T is my constant of proportionality, and K is the given constant that we have, that is partly constant, okay? So K is the constant given. Now, looking at all these parameters, we can put in the first scenario. We're told that it costs $740 when 20 tourists were present, okay? So in that case, what we can say is that 740 is equal to K, okay, plus what's the number of tourists? We are told that there are 20 T, all right? That's in the first case. Now, it will cost $960 when the number of tourists increased by 10. What do we understand by increase? That means we are adding 10 to the initial one that we had before. We need to get that correctly to be able to solve this question. So that means we have 960 is equal to, again, K plus increase by 10 will mean that 20 plus 10, okay? And 20 plus 10 is 30T. So having these two equations now, I can call this equation 1 and this is equation 2. We can go ahead to say we want to try and solve this question. Let's say I want to subtract, okay? Subtracting will help to actually solve this, because I can say that K can be knocked out so that I can get the value of T effectively. So I can say, let me subtract. So 740 minus 960, that will be minus 0. 14 minus 6. I think it will be better to say equation 2 minus equation 1, okay? So if I say equation 2 minus equation 1, that means 960 minus 740, that will be 220, okay? Is K minus K, that will knock out. 30T minus 20T, that will be 10T. So I can divide both sides by 10. Therefore, T I can get to be 22. Okay? Then using the value of T in, let's say, equation 1, I can now have 740 is equal to K plus 20T. But instead of T, I can use 22, so that K will be 740 minus 20 times 22 will be 440, and that will be, because that will be 300. So I have T, I have K, meaning that I can get my equation out to be that C is equal to, what is the K? 300 plus 22, and because T is 22, and then I will be looking for the N if I'm to work that out. So this is the equation that I can now use to try and solve for whatever number of tourists will now come around. And look at the question. They are now saying that when we have 15 tourists, what is the cost of the dinner? All you just need to do is just to substitute 15 into N and then find the expression as appropriate. And in short, to solve that, let me just clear the board. Since I've been able to express effectively what I want to do here, so I can say I'm clearing the board here. So the question is that when the number of tourists is equal to 15, we have to find the value of the cost. That is just going to be C is equal to 300 plus 22 times 15. Okay, 22 times 15, that will be 15. Let's do that. 22 times 15. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 1, that's 110. And then we have 22, that will be 330. Okay, so this will be 300 plus 330, and that is nothing but $630. So the price when there are 15 tourists is nothing but $630. And with that, we have solved this question of variation. Fred bought a car for $5,600 and later sold it at 90% of the cost price. He spent $1,310 out of the amount he received and invested the rest at 6% per annum simple interest. So we have to calculate the interest earned in 3 years. So Fred is good at being Fred is good at being investment savvy. Okay, so that's a lesson for us watching this out there. We can invest into so many things so that we can gain some interest in years to come. But let's look at our question and solve it. Okay, so the question here is on simple interest, and if you recollect, simple interest is nothing but principal times rate times time over 100. Now we have been given, from the question, we can see that we have been given the time. The time is in 3 years. Okay, so we've been given T to be 3 years. We've been given the rate. This is the rate as 6%. So R is 6%. Okay, but we don't know the principal. Okay, the principal is the amount that he originally invested. So what is before us is the task of finding out the principal. And for us to get the principal, we need to analyze this information that we are given. We are told that he bought a car for $5,600. So we can say the cost price for the car is equal to $5,600. All right. Then we are told that he sold that car at 90% of the cost price. At 90% of the cost price. So how do we express 90% of the cost price? We can say the selling price is 90% of cost price. Cost price is $5,600, and that will give us 90 over 100. That's the meaning of 90% times 5,000, not naira. I'm writing it in naira. It's not naira. Being a Nigerian is really getting to me now. Let me put the right value. It's not naira. When you are giving a question in dollars, you use dollars and solve it appropriately. So it is dollars, so times $5,600. So let's take our calculator to work this out. So we have 90 times 56 divided by 100. That's $5,040. So this is $5,040. Okay. Why am I writing error again and again? Please don't make that silly mistake in your question. This dollars. All right. So now we are further told that out of the money that he got for the sale of the car, he spent, look at this, he spent $1,310. He just spent it and just, of course, enjoyed himself a bit. So we should be able to now know the amount that is able to invest. So the amount invested, which is a capital, is going to be this selling price that we just got minus the amount that is spent initially, which is $1,310. And then if we take our calculator to say our answer minus 1310, that is 3730. So that is $3,730. So this is his principal. That is where we're actually going. This is the principal for him. So now we can say the principal that we are looking for, we have gotten to be $3,730. Okay. Then we can find the simple interest to be, the principal is 3730. Okay. Times the rate, that's 6, multiplied by the time, that is 3, and we can divide by 100. So this is what we need to input into our calculator. 3730 times 6 times 3 divided by 100. So we have it 3730 times 6 times 3 divided by 100. So that is 671.4. So this is $671.4. So the interest earned in 3 years, for Fred is nothing but $671.4. Having the understanding of how to reverse engineer to get this principal had helped us to solve this question, and the answer is $671.4. In this question, we are to solve the equation 2 raised to the power x multiplied by 4 raised to the power minus 7 is equal to 2, and 3 raised to the power minus x multiplied by 9 raised to the power 2y is equal to 3 simultaneously. Now, look at these two equations, okay? Look at these two expressions. In the first case, we have only x. In the second case, we have x and y, meaning that if we're able to find the value of x in the first case, we can substitute into the second case to find the value of y, and that exactly is what we are going to be doing. So let me just find a way to divide the board into, say, like 2. And then in the first case, look at this. We are told that 2 raised to the power x multiplied by 4 raised to the power minus 7 is equal to 2. Looking at this, since this is indices, we know that if we make the base to be equal, we can easily equate the power. Or you can even just divide both sides by 4 raised to the power minus 7. So let me do that and say divided by 4 raised to the power minus 7 over 4 raised to the power minus 7. So this will cut so that I can have 2 raised to the power x is equal to 2 divided by 4 raised to the power minus 7. But 4 raised to the power minus 7 itself, I know is something like this. 2 raised to the power x is equal to 2 divided by 4 is 2 raised to the power 2, okay? Then raised to the power minus 7. This is the operation of powers of indices that can help us to express all the bases together. So I can further say this is 2 raised to power x to be equal to 2 now divided by 2 raised to power 2 all raised to power minus 7. I can multiply the powers to give me 2 raised to power minus 14. Okay, now by laws of indices, let's say this is 2 raised to power s to be equal to a single 2. The power of that 2 is 1. This division will become minus, then minus 14 as the other power, taking the laws of indices that was given that if we have a raised to power m multiplied by a raised to power n, that's the same as a raised to power m plus n. Okay, and if it is division, you can also have it that for division we can have it that a raised to power m divided by a raised to power n is the same as a raised to power m minus n, and that is what we are actually using here now in this particular case. So I can just express this as is the same as 2 raised to power 1 plus 14, because negative will multiply one another to give us positive, such that I can now say I have 2 raised to power x is equal to 2 raised to power 15. Since the bases are equal, definitely the powers have to be equal. So x here is 15. Okay, that's one of the solutions that we are looking for. In the other case, that we are given 3 raised to power minus x multiplied by 9 raised to power 2y is equal to 3. Here, in the same case, we can just say we know the value of x already. Okay, so this is the same as saying we have 3 raised to power minus 15 multiplied by 9 raised to power 2y is equal to 3. So I can divide both sides by 3 raised to power minus 15 over 3 raised to power minus 15. So this will cancel this. 9, I also know it to be 3 raised to power 2, and then the 2y that I'm having there, here, this 2y, I can also express it again. Then, having done that, I know this is 3 divided by 3 raised to power minus 15, and this is 3 raised to power 1, just like we found the other time. I can open this bracket to say this will now be 3 raised to power 2 times 2y, that is 4y, is equal to 3 raised to power 1 minus 15. Okay, so that is going to give me 3 raised to power 4y is equal to 3 raised to power 1 minus 15. Again, I can just easily express that out to be 3 raised to power 1 plus 15. Okay, and 1 plus 15 is nothing but 16. And since the bases are equal, I can say this implies that 4y is equal to 16. To solve for y, I can divide both sides by 4. So 4 can cancel 4 here. 4 here, 1, 4 in 16, 4. Therefore, y is equal to 4. So the solution to the equation that we're given that we should solve simultaneously is nothing but that x is 15 and y is 4. And you can also try many processes to also try and solve questions like this whenever you come across them. But here the answer is x is 15 and y is 4. In this diagram, we are given that Mn is a chord of the circle with center O, and if the size of Mn was given as 22.42 centimeters and the perimeter of the triangle MON, this triangle, the perimeter is 55.6 centimeters. We have to calculate correct to the nearest degree angle MON. So what we are asked to find is this angle here. Okay, this angle MON that we are asked to find. Now, looking at the details that were given in the question, what is jumping out at me that I'm finding interesting is that we're given the perimeter of the triangle MON. Okay, now what is the formula for the perimeter of a triangle? What is even our idea of a perimeter? The perimeter is actually the sum of all the sides of a particular shape. So here, if you are looking at this triangle, that means that perimeter will be the sum of the side MO plus ON plus NM. Okay, those three sides is the addition that constitutes the perimeter of the triangle. But look at this. We are told in the question that O is the center of the circle, and any straight line drawn from the center of the circle to the circumference of the circle is nothing but the radius. So here, this is a radius, and here, this is another radius. Now, my triangle is incidentally forming an isosceles triangle, that is, a triangle that has two of its sides to be equal. And inherently, when the two sides are equal, then the base angles are also equal. So I can also say from this angle and this angle, they are going to be equal. So let me call this x. I can also call this x. Okay, so this is the radius of the circle from the center to the circumference, and this will seriously help me to solve this question now, because I was given that the perimeter was 55.6 centimeters. But I know from understanding of perimeter that for this triangle, the perimeter is going to be r plus r, that's the radius, plus line MN. Okay, I was given the perimeter to be 55.6 centimeters, so that will be 2r. We're giving MN to be what? 22.42 centimeters. Okay, so that means 2r is 55.6 minus 22.42, so that will just be like 55.60, 22.46. Subtracting 10 minus 6, that is 4. This remains 5 because we have borrowed 1. 5 minus 4, that is 1. 5 minus 2, that is 3. 5 minus 2, that is 3. Okay, so 33.14 I can say 33.14 centimeters, meaning that r will be 33.14 over 2, and 2 in 3, that is 1, remaining 1. 2 in 13, that is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. 13 minus 12 is 1, so we are remaining 1 here. 0.2 in 11, that is 5, still remaining 1. And 2 in 14, when we bring the 1 forward, that will be 7. Okay, so the radius or the side OM and ON of this triangle, or the radius of the circle, is 16.5 centimeters. Nobody asked us to find the radius. We are asked to find the angle MON. Okay, now I want to show you something. Let's look at this triangle. If we divide that particular triangle into two, just like this, okay, I hope that will make it clear. This is what we are going to have. We are going to have a diagram like this. The angle that we are looking for, if that is theta, here this will be theta over 2. Okay, now this will be a right angle. Okay, the radius, this will be 16.57 that we just got, and half of MN, because we have bisected this line MN by reason of this line that we are drawing. Okay, we have bisected it. It's a perpendicular bisector to that line that we just draw. It will now be 22.42 over 2, and that will be 11.21 centimeter. If you have to label it, the labeling will carry, this is M, this is O, and let me call this T. Okay. Now, looking at this triangle MOT, directly we can say we just want to find the value of theta over 2. You know, this particular place that we are looking for, the angle MON, is actually twice this angle because that is what is tagged as theta initially. Okay, so if we have that understanding, we can look at this question and say we can just solve it out directly by looking at the solution to this particular angle theta over 2 via SOHCAHTOA. Oh, that's where I'm actually going. So we can use SOHCAHTOA and looking at this is the angle here, this is the angle at point O. We are looking for the trigonometric identity that will relate the opposite of that angle. Now the opposite is here because that is the side facing that particular angle. Okay, and the hypotenuse because this is the hypotenuse, the longest side of the triangle. What is relating both of them is nothing but sine. Okay, it is this sine that is relating both of them. So what we can just say is that sine theta over 2 is the opposite 11.21 over the hypotenuse 16.57. Okay, so in that case, what is 11.21 over 16.57? 11.21 divided by 16.57. Okay, that's 0.6752. So sine theta over 2 is equal to 0.6752, meaning that theta over 2 is equal to arc sine 0.6752. So what is the arc sine? Arc sine of the answer we just got, that's 42.57. That's 42.57, but that is theta over 2, meaning that the theta we are looking for is equal to 2 times 42.57. I love questions like this, and that will, it's going to give us this answer that we got times 2, 85.15, 85.15. Okay, but we are saying correct to the nearest degree. Correct to the nearest degree will mean that that is 85 degrees. So I love this type of question. So the value of angle MON correct to the nearest degree is 85 degrees. How do we come across this? It's because we have the understanding of the perimeter of a triangle, we have the understanding of the isosceles triangle and its properties of base angles, and then we can apply the principle, the trigonometric identity SOHCAHTOA to find our solution. So it's these simple basic understandings that can help you as a student to effectively work and get your correct answer. So in this question, the answer is 85 degrees. T is equidistant from P and Q. The bearing of P from T is 60 degrees and the bearing of Q from T is 130 degrees. We have to illustrate this information in the diagram and find the bearing of Q from P. Okay, now this is clearly a question from bearing and distance, and to even get it right, we need to get our diagram correctly, but they're already giving us the mandate to also draw that diagram. So if I want to locate a particular point, what we need to note in this particular question is that we are told that first T is equidistant from P and Q. They have the same distance, but the bearing are also being taken from T, because the bearing of P from T first and then the bearing of Q also from T. So T is a reference point for us, is a hot cake that we need to actually work with. So if we are to consider a position that we can take as T, and we find the cardinal point from there, let's say this is what we are trying to take as our point T, and then this is the north, the south, the east, and the west for that particular point, okay? And we can say this is point T, okay? So we can look at the bearing of P from T, which is 60 degrees. 60 degrees in the first quadrant, so we just measure like this and say this is 0, 6, 0. We can take that bearing to P, okay? So let's say this is the bearing to P, and then look at the other information by saying that the bearing of Q from T is 130. 130 is in the second quadrant. It is more than 90. From north to east is 90. From east to south is another 90. 130 is between 90 and 180. So it will be in this second quadrant. So we can also start from the north and just measure like this. Okay, so that is 130, and we can just try and get that diagram out. And then we are giving one very crucial information, that distance between T and P and distance between T and Q, they are equal. That's why they say T is equidistance from P and Q. So if you are to label our diagram and say this is point, the first one on 60 degrees, point P, okay? And then the second one is point Q. This is the representation of the diagram, but we also need to label this correctly. So here, this is, let me use another ink. This is 130 degrees. Okay, from the north here down to the bearing of Q from P, that is 130. So this is the diagram they say we should illustrate on the diagram, and that is as good as done. We are now to find the bearing of Q from P, meaning that we go to Q, let me use this, Q, and find its bearing from P. And to find the bearing of Q from P, it means that at P, we also take our 4 cardinal points, okay? We take that 4 cardinal points, the north, the south, the east, and the west, and we find this bearing. That means that will be this particular angle from the north here down to this, not the south, to this line that is inclining P and Q together. So that's what we are looking for, and that is the bearing of Q from P. But look at this diagram now. For us to get that bearing, we were told in the question that the distance between P and T here and the distance between T and Q, they are equal. These two distances being equal means that this is an isosceles triangle. Isosceles triangle that has 2 of its sides equal, which inherently will mean that it will have the base angles to also be equal. In that case, this angle here and this angle here, they are going to be equal. I can call them angle X. This is also X, because they are base angles of an isosceles triangle. Now, look at the point T that we are coming from. Already, we have known that from the north to the inclination of P from T is 60 here, which we have gotten accurately. We also know that from the north to Q is 130, which we got accurately. The difference between the two here will be 130 minus 160, because from north to here is 130, from north to here is 60. So we just subtract the 2 to get the angle here, and that will be 70 degrees. Okay, so now by reason of our understanding of triangles, we know that 70 degrees plus x is equal to 180 degrees. Why? They are the sum of angles of a triangle. Okay, so meaning that 70, or I can just say, meaning that 2x is equal to 180 minus 70, and 180 minus 70 is 110 degrees, such that x will be 110 degrees over 2, and that will be 55 degrees. Okay, now x being 55 degrees is clear, but we are looking at the whole angle from north to this particular point where x is starting. You can choose to just use a whole lot of means to get it, but this is what I'm going to do. If you look at this, I just hope you will be able to see this very effectively. This angle from this north at T to point T, then drawn to point P and down south, these two angles, let me use blue, this angle here, and I'm using double blue for, and this angle here, they are equal. Okay, this is where you need to actually understand angles and parallel lines, intercept theorems and co. Now this is angle 60, and this particular angle here is also going to be 60. This is 60 degrees. Also know that this is 60 degrees. That means this small angle here, this small angle here, this small angle is going to be, this angle is going to be, let me call it angle theta, is going to be 60 degrees minus x, and that is 60 minus 55, and that is equal to 5 degrees. Why? Originally, I know that this place and this place, they are alternate angles, so they are equal. Now, out of this whole 60, x had been taken out as being here. Can you see? This is x. This is x. So this remaining will be 60 minus x, which is what we got as 5 degrees. But what we have to find, the bearing of Q from P is, look at this straight line. This straight line from the north to the south, that is 180 degrees. Okay. In addition to this particular theta that we find plus theta, and that is 180 degrees plus 5 degrees. So that bearing is 185 degrees. I hope you will find this simple enough to understand, and also comfortable enough for you to tackle whenever you come across them in some other places. It may look clumsy, but the more you study it, we have a lot of videos that we have done on bearing and distances. You can watch them to also build proficiency in this. What you just need to note is that here, this 60 degrees and this 60 degrees, they are equal because they are alternate angles. And out of this 60 degrees that is here, we have taken out x that we found to be 55. So the remainder will be 5. That 5 plus the 180 straight line that is coming from P to Q will constitute the bearing of Q from P, and it is 185 degrees. All right. The ages of a group of athletes are as follows. So we are given all these numbers, and we are to answer this set of questions following those ages that were given. So we are to find the range of the distribution, draw a frequency distribution table for the data, find the median age, and calculate, correct to 2 decimal places, the mean age and the standard deviation. So in the first part, A, the range of the distribution. How do we calculate the range? The range is the highest value that we're given, okay, highest value minus the smallest value. Okay, that is the range whenever we are looking for it in a question. And looking at this particular question that we have, we need to look at the data entry that we are given, the ages of the athletes. We can see that 20 is the highest age that we have here. And what is the least age? The least age happens to be 15. Okay, so in that case, the range will be 20 minus 15. And 20 minus 15 is nothing but 5. Okay, so 5 is the range of the distribution that we are given. Moving on from there, to draw a frequency distribution table for the data, now I have the template of what my table will look like as shown on the board, and the values that we have in each of the columns, I'm going to be representing them here. In the first case, we are going to have the age of the student. Okay, age is what we are going to have in the first case. So here we have the age, and then the tally, just to help us correctly capture the number of entries that we have. Then the frequency F. Okay, then here I'm going to have the cumulative frequency. That's the addition of each entry of the frequency, and I'm going to show that. And then we are going to see the product of the entry and the frequency. So age is the X, so the product of the age and the frequency is Fx. Then, because we are going to be answering question on standard deviation, I can also find F S squared. That's the frequency multiplied by the square of the data. So now we need to fill in our table, and the way we are going to go about doing that is to put in this entry in increasing order. Okay, so the least will be in the first entry, and then we'll go on to the highest. Why am I doing that? Because look at the question C. We are still going to find the median age for the distribution. So let's start with the least number. Looking at all these entries, what is the least number that we have? That is 15. So here in the age, we put 15. Then the tally is the guide that will help us to capture the frequency correctly. So how many 15s do we have here? It's only 1. So that means the tally is 1. And definitely the frequency will also be 1. Okay. The cumulative frequency will be the addition of subsequent frequencies that we are going to have. This is the first one. So CF is still 1. Fx will be the frequency multiplied by the data, which is age in this particular case. That's 15. So 15 times 1, here it is 15. Okay. And then Fs square is the frequency multiplied by the square of x. The square of x is 15 raised to power 2. That is 225. Then 225 times frequency 1, that's still 225. Now this is what we need to do in all these cases, and then we can move on to the next data. We have 16. So how many instances of 16? We have 1. So I put my tally 1. Another one. This is another 16. That makes 2. Okay. That means that the frequency is what? 2. Then the cumulative frequency will be 2 plus 1. You know, we have 1 initially, and then we have 2 in this case. That is 2 plus 1. That is 3. Then Fx, the product of the frequency and the data. The frequency in this case is 2, and the data is 16. 2 times 16, that is 32. Alright. And then the product of the frequency and the square of the data that we are talking about. In this case, we are going to say 16 raised to power 2. So here I'm going to say 16 raised to power 2. That is equal to what? 256. Now multiply by the frequency times 2. That's 512. So here I'm going to have 512. Okay. So let me also try and do the next entry. And in this case, we are going to be looking at, what's the next number? 17. All right. So for 17, how many entries of 17 do we have? This 17 here. That's the first one. I have 1. Another 17 here. That makes them 2. Another 17 here. That makes them 3. So what's my frequency? 3. The cumulative frequency will now be this particular 3 for the frequency of 17 plus the initial cumulative frequency that we have, these other three. So 3 plus 3, that's 6. Then the frequency multiplied by x, that is 3 multiplied by 17. 3 multiplied by 17 will give us 51. And then we need to find the frequency multiplied by the square of x. So to do that, we say x in this case is 17. So 17 raised to power 2 times the frequency, which is 3. And that is equal to 867. So here we have 867. Okay. So having this guideline, I'm not spinning up this video. But since you now understand how to populate the frequency distribution table, you can just do that on your own. Now, to find the median age, we need to look at our frequency distribution table. If we are not asked to construct the frequency distribution table, we could have said we want to arrange all of these in the ascending order. The least will occur first, and then in that case we have something like 15, then 16 in 2 places, and co 17, and we are then going to look at the midpoint of the data entry. But here, since we are first asked to draw the frequency distribution data, we are going to use that to also obtain the median age. And how do we go about using that to obtain the median age? We have gotten the cumulative frequency to be 11, or we can just add up all the frequencies. Like here, we can say 1 plus 2, that is 3, 3 plus 3, that is 6, 6 plus 3, that is 9, 9 plus 1 is 10, 10 plus 1 is 11. So sigma f, which is the sum of the frequency, we got to be 11. Now, to find the median, we need to look at the midpoint of the sum of the frequency. So to find median, we consider the midpoint of 11, which we can find by saying 11 over 2, and that will be the 5.5th position. Just mind me, don't mind me, I'm just using that. I don't know if there's anything like that occurring, but the 5.5th position. Now, looking at the cumulative frequency, that will help us to do that, because here we see that the cumulative frequency is 1, so definitely it's not this. Then next, we can see that the cumulative frequency is 3, definitely 5.5th position is not occurring there. But now, if you look at this particular 6, here, where the cumulative frequency is 6, you can see that the 5.5th position is falling in that particular case. And what is the value of the age of the athlete that is falling there? That is 17. So as a reason of that, we can say the median, which is occurring at the 5.5th position, is nothing but median is given as 17. So this is the correct way to use the frequency distribution table to get the median of the given data. All right. Now in question number D, we have two stuff that we need to carry out. First, we have to look at the mean age, and then we have to look at the standard deviation. To get the mean age, which is denoted as x bar, what we do is we just find the sum of the product of the frequency multiplied by the data entry over the sum of the frequency. We just evaluated the sum of the frequency to be 11. Okay, then this fx, we also need to sum all the data entry together. So we can say, let's bring in our calculator. We can say 15 plus 32 plus 51 plus 54 plus 19 plus 20. Okay, and we need to check, do we get all of that correct? If that is the case, we can just say that is equal to what? This is going to give us 191, meaning that here the sum of sigma fx is equal to what? 191. All right, so we know sigma f to be 11, meaning that our median that we are asked to find in the first case is going to be 191 over 11. So what is 191 over 11? You can say our answer divided by 11, that is 17.36. So we have this as 17.36. The bar means that it's continuing like that. Again, 36, 36, 36. But no problem, we don't need that. They say we have to find it correct to 2 decimal places. Wow, I love this. So if it's to be to 2 decimal places, the calculator had helped us already. So that third bar is 17.36 to 2 decimal places. All right. Now to find the standard deviation, I will just erase the answer to the mean age, and there is a formula that we are going to employ. Looking at fx raised to power 2, that is the product of the square of the data multiplied by the frequency, we can see that we have all of this, but we need to also find the sum, sigma fs square, and that's going to give us what? Let's sum all the entries. 225 plus 512 plus 867 plus 972 plus 361 plus 400. Okay, and that is 3,337. So this is 3,337. Okay, now what is the formula for the standard deviation? The standard deviation is given as the square root of sigma fs raised to power 2 over sigma f minus sigma fx over sigma f all raised to power 2. Now if you notice, this is nothing but the mean. Okay, it's the mean that we just got as 17.36. Now if you want to put in all these values, we can just do it straight and say this is sigma fs squared, that is 3337 over sigma f, that is 11, minus, now the danger is that you want to use the approximated value that you got for the mean initially. Whenever you are working like this, don't first put in the approximated value, put in the entries again. So what is sigma fx? That is 191 over what sigma f, 11 all square. Okay, so let's just do this piecewise. So we can just try and evaluate our previous answer divided by 11, that is 303.36. so we have square root of 303.36 minus, what do we have in this particular case? 191 divided by 11 all raised to power 2. Okay, that is 301.4958. You can say 301.496. okay, so minus 301.496. so we have to subtract that. Let's say 303.36. I told you initially this is a repeated value. Okay, it's a repeated value minus the answer we just got. So we have 1.8677. So the standard deviation as we are asked from this question is equal to what? Square root of 1.8678. Square root of 1.8678. And we have to look at that in the calculator. The square root of our answer as 1.366666, and approximately that will be 1.37 to 2 decimal places. Okay, so this is our answer. if you are not careful about the approximation in your calculation, you will not get this exact figure. So whenever you are using your calculator, just be careful that you use the right approximation. Only approximate your answer when you get your final answer. Okay, don't approximate during the course of calculation, and with that you can get your full mark. So we have solved all this question using the frequency distribution table to find the median, the mean, and the standard deviation. All right. A survey of 40 students showed that 23 students study mathematics, 5 study mathematics and physics, 8 study chemistry and mathematics, 5 study physics and chemistry, and 3 study all the 3 subjects. So interestingly, this is a case study of a class of science students, since they are offering what we popularly call Phychem maths. Okay, that's physics, chemistry, and mathematics. So we are told that the number of students who study physics only, we need to notice that physics only is twice the number who study chemistry only. So with this information, we are to find the number of students who study only physics and then only one subject. Then we are to find the probability that the student selected at random studies exactly 2 subjects. So looking at this question, it is a classical example of a set theory problem, and we are going to be using Venn diagram to interpret all the illustration. But as a rule of thumb, first we need to put our information in set format. Okay, the mathematical format that we can use set theory to solve. So that means that we need to start with the very first statement here, that a survey of 40 students, meaning that our universal set U is equal to 40. Okay, then we are told that 23 study mathematics. 23 students studying mathematics means the number of M, where M is for mathematics, is equal to 23. And as a rule of thumb, we are going to be using M for mathematics, P for physics, and C for chemistry. Then moving on, they said 5 study mathematics and physics. So the number of students that study both maths and physics, that is intersection, and is synonymous to intersection, or will be synonymous to union. Okay, or we don't even have or here. So we have 5 study mathematics and physics. So number of M intersect P is equal to 5. Then 8 study chemistry and mathematics. Number of chemistry intersect mathematics is 8. Okay, that's this statement. Then 5 study physics and chemistry. Number of students that study physics intersect chemistry is equal to 5. 3 students study all the 3 subjects. So we have number of maths intersect physics intersect chemistry is equal to 3. But that's not all. Then we are told that the number of students who study physics only is twice the number who study chemistry only. In that case, that means that if number of those that study chemistry only is represented as X, then number of those that study physics only will be what? Will be 2x. Since they said the number of students who study physics only is twice the number who study chemistry only. So chemistry only is X, then physics only is 2x. So this information is what we can use to populate our Venn diagram and then solve the questions that we are given. So we can now say we want to go ahead to draw our Venn diagram. Okay, so to draw a Venn diagram, let's use a rectangular box for the universal set, and then you can go ahead to put in the information for all these that we have. All right, so I have the circle for maths, I have the circle for physics, and I have the circle for chemistry. Okay, so I can say this is my, let me just use different ink. Let me say this is maths, this is physics, and then okay, I can use this. Let me say this is chemistry. Okay, now looking at all this information, it is best that we actually work it like this. We know that our U is 40, So I can say I want to put in my U to be 40. Some people love to put that on top. Anywhere will do. The universal set is 40. And now let me put in all the other information as appropriate. Now, this is the way I love to go about it. So many people have so many different methods, but we'll just explore one of them. You can also pitch in with the one that's comfortable for you. The number of mathematics is 23. Let's keep that information. We'll still come to it later. But now they said that M mathematics intersect P is 5. Where is the region for mathematics intersect P? It is here. Look at this. This is maths, okay, to the left, and this is physics to the right. The point where both of them intersect is what I just shaded in green. So that region is given as 5. All right. However, we already told that the number of students that offer maths, physics, and chemistry is 3, meaning that this particular region in yellow now is 3. But we already know that the whole of this region is 5. So if we take 3 out, meaning that this other one that is now remaining green will be 2. So that 2 plus 3 will constitute 5. Okay? That is actually the ideal way to go about it. So I can just say, now I know that this particular place is 3, but then this particular location is 2, so that the combination of the 2 is going to give me what? Is going to give me 5. That is the consistency of using the Venn diagram to correctly depict information. So let's go and look at another one. So in the second case, we are told that the number of students that offer chemistry and mathematics is 8. But out of that 8, we already have 3 that studied maths, physics, and chemistry. So where is the region that is intersecting the chemistry and mathematics? I can use some other color. It is this region in yellow and this other region. Okay, that is the region of those that study mathematics and chemistry. This particular 8 that we are looking at. But out of that 8, 3 study maths, physics, and chemistry. So the remaining here for the purple section will be 8 minus 3, and that will give us 5. So here we are going to have this as 5. This region is 5. Okay, now that is not all. Looking at the number of students that studied physics and chemistry, which were given as 5. Here physics, this is physics, and here this is chemistry. The number of students that studied both subjects was given as 5. But out of that 5, we have taken 3 out. So the remainder here in this white region that I'm having my cursor, that remainder will be 2, so that the 3 and 2 will add up to this 5. Okay, so if I'm also to put in a color code and just shade this region, that is going to be 2. Okay, so having done that, we are not told that the number of those that studied chemistry only, if you represent that as X, okay, so chemistry only as X, look at this region that was not shaded at the lower part. Since C is the lower circle of chemistry, we have taken out those that did combo subjects, either 2 or 3. The chemistry only is this white region below. Okay, this white region below, and we are told that it is what? It is X. So that is X. And then the number of students that study physics only is 2x. This is physics. This upper right hand corner, this white in which my cursor is moving around, that will be physics only, and we're told that that is what? That is 2x. You know, initially I told us to keep the information for the number of mathematics, which was given as 23. I said we should keep it. Now look at this. For mathematics, already we have 5, that is in mathematics. We have 3 is in mathematics. We have 2 is in mathematics, because the whole of this region, that is mathematics. So if you have taken out 5, 3, and 2 out of the mathematics, 5 plus 3, that is 8. 8 plus 2, that is 10. But we are told that the whole of mathematics is 23. So what is going to be the remainder the remaining student that took mathematics only, I think you get the question right and you get the answer right also. That will be 23 minus 10. All right. So 23 minus 10 will be this region of mathematics only. No wonder they didn't bother giving us that information, because they guess that we could have been able to get it ourselves. So here, this will be 23 minus the addition of these 3, 5 plus 3, which is 8 plus 2, which is 10. So this is 23 minus 10, and that will give us 13. Okay, so I just want to write only 13. I just put that for you to understand. So this is 13. All right. Now, looking at this question, this is the right approach to go about trying to represent the information of set theory in a Venn diagram. And with this, quite a number of your mark you have gotten already. We now need to go to question 9A and 9B to find solution to this problem. All right. So now we are ready to solve our question. And in the first case, we are told that we are to find the number of students who studied only physics. Only physics is our consideration here. And looking at the diagram, that is this 2x. That's the value for those who study only physics. But from the information that we have gathered, since we have now represented our information in the Venn diagram, we can see that we only have single point entries. We've identified all the overlapping points. And now, if we add all of these entries together, it's going to amount to the universal set 40. So we can say 13 plus these 2, 3, 5, 2, 2x, x, and 13. They all add up to 40. So I'll just say 13 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 2 again, okay, plus 2x, then plus x is equal to what? Is equal to 40. So if I'm to add all this, 13 plus 2 is 15, plus 3, that's 18, plus 2 here, that's 20, plus 5, that's 25. Okay, so I have 25 plus 2x plus x, that is 3x, is equal to 40. So that 3x will be 40 minus 25. And 40 minus 25 is 15. And x will now be 15 over 3. And that is 5. But they didn't ask us for s. What did they ask us? Students that studied only physics. So the number of students that studied only physics, from our diagram, we know it was gotten as what? 2x. So 2x, and that is what? That is going to give us 2 times 5. And 2 times 5 is 10 students. So 10 students is the number of those who study only physics. You can see how this is quite good, how we can use it to solve our question once we got our diagram correctly. But that's not all. We're also going to look for the number of students who study only one subject. Okay, so if you are to look at that, you can say we want to answer our question A2 now. Number of students who study only one subject. Just remember, we just got our x to be 5. Then we are going to say, where is the number of students that study only one subject? That will be here, only mathematics plus only physics plus only chemistry. That is the beautiful thing that we can do here. In short, let me show you something. That will be number of only maths plus number of only physics plus number of only chemistry. And those are the ones that are circled in blue here, and that will give us 13 plus 2x plus x, okay, which is 13 plus 3x. But we have gotten x to be 5, so that will be 13 plus 3 times 5, which is 13 plus 15. So those who study only one subject will be 28 students. Is this not interesting? I love this. Okay, I hope you are understanding and flowing with this the way I am doing it. All right, so let's now go ahead to look at the last question. So now in question number 9b, we are now asking for the probability that a student selected at random studies exactly 2 subjects. So let me call it probability of exactly 2 subjects. That probability is going to be number of students that studied exactly 2 subjects over the universal set. Okay, that's the total number of students, which is 40. Then we need to find those who study exactly 2 subjects. Exactly 2 subjects means that we are not talking about 1 year, we are not talking about 3. We only talk about those that studied only 2 subjects, and that will be this region, okay, in green, this region in purple, and this region in gray. And that means that that probability is going to give us 2 plus 5 plus 2 over what? Over 40. Now 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9 over 40. So that probability that we are looking for is 9 over 40. What we just need to note is that here they're asking us exactly 2 subjects. So it's not going to have any other overlap. It's not going to be within the region of those that study only 1 subject. It's not going to be part of those that study all the 3 subjects. It's only those that are highlighted here in blue, those that studied exactly 2 subjects. So that's 2 students studying math and physics, the 5 students studying exactly math and chemistry, and the 2 students studying exactly physics and chemistry. And with that, we have answered this beautiful question in Venn diagram, and I believe it will also help you to be able to effectively tackle questions like this if you come across them in the exam. All right. A 20-kilogram bag of rice is consumed by M number of boys in 10 days. Okay, I guess those boys must really be hungry. When 4 more boys joined them, the same quantity of rice lasted only 8 days. Then we are told that if the rate of consumption is the same, we have to find the value of M. So what we have here, let's try and interpret the question. So M boys consumed the rice in 10 days. Okay, meaning that 1 boy will consume it in 10 days. Okay, and then in the second case, we are not told that when 4 more boys joined them, 4 more boys are joining them, meaning that we are having M plus 4 boys conceived the rice in what? In 8 days. And that inherently means that the 1 boy will consume it in 8 multiplied by M plus 4 days. It is this ratio of proportion that can help us to look at it together. So since the rate of consumption is the same, we can say therefore 10M is equal to 8 into M plus 4. And that will inherently lead us to say 10M is equal to 8M plus 8 times 4 is 32. And to solve that, we can take 8M to the other side so that we have 10M minus 8M is equal to 32, and that will lead us to say 2m is 32, and by the time we divide both sides by 2, then our m, not that thing, then our m will be, these two will cancel, and 2 here 1, 2 in 32, 16, m will be 16. It's just a matter of understanding how to interpret this question and solve it in the mathematical method. So the value of m that we're asked to find is 16. If 5/6 of a number is 10 greater than 1/3 of that number, we have to find that particular number. Let's put this in mathematical format. Let the number be x, let x be the number, and then we can just interpret all of this and look at it. Then we are told that 5/6 of x is 10 greater than 1/3 of it. So that will mean 5/6 of x is 10 greater than addition of 10, okay, than 1/3 of the number. So this is the correct interpretation of the problem that we are giving, that we need to get first before we can even say we want to try and solve the question. Without getting this, there's no way we could have been able to find how to do this particular question. All we just need to do is to say we collect like terms. So we can say 5x/6 minus x/3 is equal to 10. And if you have to find the LCM for this, you can say 6. 6 is the LCM because that is the number that both this denominator 6 and 3 can be used to divide it. So 6 divided by 6, that is 1. 1 times 5x is 5x, alright. Then this negative sign minus 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 times this numerator x is 2x, because you can say if it is 2x/6, you can just divide by 2. 2 can go here 1, 2 can go here 3, and we arrive at this. So we're on the same track. So 5x minus 2x/6 is equal to 10/1. And with this, we can say, yes, we want to cross multiply. So doing that, we can just say we are going to have 5x minus 2x, that is 3x, and that 3x is equal to 6 multiplied by 10, that is equal to 60. So if we divide both sides by 3, this 3 and this 3 can cut out. 3 can go here 1, 3 in 6, 2, and 3 in 0, 0. So x is equal to 20. So the number that we are to look for, its value is x, and that x is equal to 20. We are to find the equation of the line which passes through the points 2, 1/2 and minus 1, minus 1/2. There is a general format for finding the equation of a line passing through 2 points, and it is given as y minus y1 over x minus x1 is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But we need to identify which one is x1 and which one is y1 and which one is x2 and which one is y2. So we're given these 2 points. We have 2, 1/2, and we have minus 1, minus 1/2. If we take this as the point 1 and we take this as the point 2, that means that the first one is generally x. So this is x1 and this is y1, okay? Then this is x2 and this is y2. So if we are to take those values and substitute them into this general equation that we have, we are going to get something like y minus y1. What is y1? That is 1/2 over x minus x1. What is x1? x1 is 2, is equal to y2 minus y1. And what is y2? Minus 1/2 minus y1. What is y1? 1 over 2. Okay, divided by x2. What is x2? x2 is minus 1 minus 1 minus x1. What is x1? That is 2. So having substituted these values, we just need to simplify that particular expression that we have. Let me just try and write it out here now. If I can divide the board in two. So you can just see that means we have something like this. Y minus 1 over 2 over x minus 2 is equal to, look at this, minus half minus half. It's like saying minus 0.5 minus 0.5. That will be minus 1. And 1 as a whole number. Minus 1 minus 2, that will be minus 3. So having this now, we can say we want to cross multiply so that we can simplify this on the fly. And if we do that, that will be minus 3 multiplied by y minus 1 over 2 is equal to minus 1 multiplied by x minus 2. Let's open the bracket. This will give us minus 3y. Minus times minus will yield plus, so don't make that mistake of putting minus. Then 3 times 1 over 2 will be 3 over 2. And that is equal to minus 1 times x will be minus x. Minus 1 times minus 2. The two negative signs will multiply each other to give us plus 2. Okay. And if we just collect like terms, we will take x to this left hand side. Then we can have this to be x minus 3y, okay, plus 3 over 2. When this plus 2 comes over to the other side, it also becomes minus 2 equal to 0. Okay, now 3 over 2 is 1 over 2. Is one whole number 1 over 2. So it's as if we are now having this as, or better still, let's just multiply all through by 2. Okay, all of this expression will multiply it by 2, and if you multiply it by 2, it's as if you are saying, okay, let 2 multiply everything here. Though ideally what you do to the left hand side, you do to the right hand side, but 0 times 2, that will be 0. So you can just multiply all through by 2. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times minus 3y is minus 6y. 2 times 3 over 2, it will be like something like this, plus 2 multiplied by 3 over 2. We see these two, cancel these two, so that we have only 3. Okay, then 2 multiplied by minus 2, that is minus 4, is equal to 0. Okay, so here we have 2x minus 6y. Look at this, this is remaining only 3. 3 minus 4 is minus 1. Okay, equal to 0. So this is the equation of the line that is passing through the points 2, 1 over 2 and minus 1, minus 1 over 2. You can choose to reverse the order. You can say for you, this 2, 1 over 2 is the point you want to take as 2, and minus 1, minus 1 over 2 is the point you want to take as the first one, as 1. So here you have, this is x1, this is y1, then this is x2, this is y2. I can assure you, you'll get the same answer. But this is a consistent way that you need to go through to get the correct answer. So the answer is 2x minus 6y minus 1. A ladder 11 meters long leans against a vertical wall at an angle of 75 degrees to the ground. The ladder is then pushed 0.2 meters up the wall. This information we are to illustrate first in a diagram, and then we can solve for the other one. But first in the diagram, so in the very first question, so the solution, so to tackle the very first information that were given to us is to present this in a diagram. So let's draw the vertical wall. Okay, and then we're also to, since it will be resting on the ground, let's also show Background. Alright, so we have, I will use blue ink and red for the initial setting. Except first, it is that the ladder is leaning against a vertical wall. Of course, this wall is vertical at an angle of 75 degrees to the ground. So it is 75 degrees that it is making with the ground. And if you want to depict that correctly, we'll have something like this. So this is the ladder initially, and we have this angle to the ground at 75. Okay, we'll come to that. Then the ladder is then pushed 0.2 meters up the wall. So initially it is here. It is here initially. But then it is pushed 0.2 meters up the wall. What will happen is that the height of the inclination of the ladder will increase, but its base positioning will shift. So we'll have something like this. Alright. So blue for the initial setting of the ladder, then red when it is pushed 0.2 meters up the wall. So that is the very first thing we're asked to do. Illustrate the information in a diagram. Let's put in the value for our angle. We're told that here it is at an angle 75 degrees to the ground, and then the ladder itself is what? Is 11 meters. So let's just give that this is 11 meters. And then with that, our first question A is done and dusted. So in question B, we have to find correct to the nearest whole number the new angle which the ladder makes with the ground, meaning that first we have to look for this particular angle. I can call that angle theta. Then that's the first question we are being asked. And for the sake of reference, I would like to label my diagram here. Okay, there was an information that was leaving out. When the ladder is pushed 0.2 meters up the wall, meaning that from here to the initial point where it was, that is 0.2 meters. Okay, so this is the full information. Now if I'm to just label this diagram, if I call this point A here on the wall, then here if I call this point B, then this is point C, and then this is point D, and this is point E. I can see that I have some triangles that I can work with to find the angle which the ladder makes with the ground. So if I'm to look at question number B, you can now say first B1, and to get the new angle which the ladder makes with the ground. Let me just simplify like this. I want to just label all of these differently. If I call this point, if I call this point here, if I call this X, that's between B and C, that is X. Between C and D, if I call it M, and then between D and E, if I call that Y, because they said we have to find the distance, the foot of the ladder has moved from its original position. That will be this distance DE. Because initially it was at E. When we have moved it, then it had moved distance Y, and that is the foot of the ladder that is on the ground. So it is this particular distance that we are looking for in the second question B2. But first we need to get the new angle which the ladder makes with the ground, which is this angle theta. And to find that, if we look at this diagram critically and we are able to find this particular distance BC, which is X, we can use that value and 0.2 meters as the opposite of this angle. And since we know the hypotenuse, which is 11 meters, the height of the ladder, the length of the ladder is not changing, whether it is initially inclined at angle 75 degrees or inclined at angle theta degrees, the length of the ladder remains the same. But if I can get this particular distance BC, which is x, and add it to 0.2 meters, that means I know the opposite to theta, and I already know the hypotenuse, this longest side, as 11 meters. I can use trigonometry identity to solve for that. So let's try and do that. So initially to get x, we can get x from the triangle BCE. From that triangle, we can use SOHCAHTOA to say that sine 75, that is the angle that we are looking at, that sine 75 degrees is equal to, what's the opposite to 75? It is this BC, which is x, okay, over the hypotenuse. What's the hypotenuse? It is this BE, which is 11, okay. So if I want to put that correctly, I'll just say that is originally opposite over hypotenuse, and that opposite over hypotenuse is synonymous to BC over BE. Okay, so this is noted for explanation purpose, such that from there I can get x to be 11 sine 75. And what is 11 sine 75? I'm bringing my calculator. 11 sine 75, that is equal to 10.63 meters. So this is 10.63 meters. So I can say x is equal to 10.63. all right. Now, since I know x, I can now find the value of AC, because initially AB is 0.2 meters, BC is now 10.63 meters, meaning that AC is the addition of the two, is 0.2 meters plus 10.63 meters. Then in that case, let me just erase this so that I can have a good chunk of board to work with. I've gotten x. I can now say from the triangle ACE now, ACD, okay, this triangle ACD, okay, this triangle, I can also use my trigonometry identity to say sine theta now, not sine 75. Sine theta, which is opposite over hypotenuse, that opposite is now AC over the hypotenuse, the longest side, AD, and that is coming from the matter of saying I'm using SOHCAHTOA, that sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, and that opposite over hypotenuse is synonymous to AC, which is x plus 0.2 over AD, which is constant, is not changing. But we just got x to be what? 10.63 meters. So I can say sine theta is 10.63 plus 0.2 over 11, and that is 10.83 over 11, so that my theta will be arc sine 10.83 over 11. And if I take out my calculator to get that, in short, okay, 10.625 plus 0.2, this 0.2 here, so that is 10.825. That answer divided by 11 is equal to what? 0.9841. 0.984. No. That will be arc sine 0.9841. And what is arc sine 0.9841? So assign the answer. That's 79.77. That's 79.77. But we are told to find the answer nearest to the whole number. Okay, nearest to the whole number means that we can approximate this. The whole number will mean that we don't want to have any decimal place in this particular right hand side. So 7 will be rounded up to 1. That one will be added to 9. And then when we add 1 to 9, that will be 10. We'll carry 1 over to 7, and that will be 80 degrees. So the new angle which the ladder makes with the ground is 80 degrees. All right. So with that, we are through with that question 1. So now in question B2, we are to find the distance the foot of the ladder has moved from its original position, meaning that we are looking for DE, which is Y. And the same principle that we applied the other time, in which we first started from the triangle that we knew about before we now transited to the one that we didn't know about, we are going to apply here. But look at this first. If we consider from the triangle ACD, this triangle ACD, okay, ACD here, this taller one, we can see that we can apply Pythagoras theorem. Okay, if we are to apply Pythagoras theorem, we can say the length AD raised to power 2, which is the hypotenuse, is equal to AC raised to power 2 plus CD raised to power 2. Now, what is our AD? Our AD is the constant length of the ladder. That's 11 raised to power 2. And that is equal to, what is our AC? AC is 10.63 plus 0.2. That is 10.83 raised to power 2. What is our CD? Our CD is M. Is this angle here. Okay? This angle here. So, you can say this is plus M raised to power 2, such that M is equal to 11 square, or M square is equal to 11 square minus 10.83 square. Alright, so if I want to take my calculator, 11 raised to power 2 minus 10.83 raised to power 2, what is that? 3.7111. So this is equal to 3.7111, and M itself will be square root of 3.7111. And guys, just find the square root of my answer as 1.9264. 1.9264 meters. Now, having known M from the triangle ACD, if I now take triangle BCE and I find the length of M plus Y, I can subtract M from that length to get the value of Y, which is what I'm going to do right about now. So I know M now to be, M is equal to 1.9264. okay, so if that is M, I can now say, let me erase this. I just want to keep the reference of the diagram. That's why I'm not scrolling down. Okay, so now from the triangle BCE, this is B, C, and E, these three, you can now look at it that if you want to also apply Pythagoras theorem, what's the longest side? That is BE. So BE raised to power 2 is equal to, what's the opposite here? That's BC raised to power 2 plus, what's the adjacent? CE. That's CE raised to power 2. Okay, having defined that, that is from Pythagoras theorem, we can now say that what's our BE? BE is 11 raised to power 2. What's our BC? BC is X, which is 10.63 raised to power 2. Now, this is the cool thing. What is our CE? CE is M plus Y. Alright, so I can just say this is M plus Y raised to power 2. But we just found the value of m. You understand? We just found the value of m. So I can just say, in that case, m plus y, let me just first write it like that, will be 11 square minus 10.63 square. So if I want to take out the calculator and say 11 raised to power 2 minus 10.63 raised to power 2, that's equal to what? 8.0031, 8.0031, so that now m plus y, I want to put the value for m now, so that 1.9264 plus y, okay, is equal to the square root of 8.0031. And what's the square root of 8.0031? Square root of my answer. So that is 2.8289. I can just say 2.829. Okay, so this is equal to 2.829. Okay, now meaning that y in itself will now be 2.829 minus 1.9264. and you want to evaluate that, so I can just say, let me say 2.829 minus 1.9264. Okay, so that is 0.9026. 0.9026. But recollect, in our question we are told to find correct to the nearest whole number. Okay, so correct to the nearest whole number, the distance the foot of the ladder has moved from its original position is this y, and that is approximately equal to 1 meter. Okay, so with that, having the good grasp of our trigonometry identity, SOHCAHTOA, Pythagoras theorem, and triangles generally, had helped us to solve this particular question. I would believe that the more you practice with this kind of stuff, the better you're also able to become, and then you can tackle these problems without leaving any stone unturned. We hope this has been useful. All right, okay. Here in this question, we're told to copy and complete the table of values for the relation y is equal to 4x squared minus 8x minus 21 for values of x ranging from minus 2.0 to 4.0. That's the meaning of this inequality expression, that minus 2.0 is less than or equal to x, and x is less than or equal to 4.0. So these are the entries that they want us to work with for the values of x. So these are some of the values of y that have been computed already. We are to copy that table and fill in these gaps. All right, so our work is quite easy to do that. Since almost half of the entries have been filled for us, we can easily do that. But I'm not going to be using the calculator to generate this table. We've done some videos on how to use the calculator to automatically generate the values to populate your table when you are working with graphs like this, especially in this type of quadratic graph, even for trigonometric graph. But here we are going to get our hands dirty. I said that at the beginning of the video. We are going to get our hands dirty. Okay, so we'll be working this just straight. I will show a tabular format and then just how to also put in the entries as needed. All right, then further to that, we have to use a scale of 2 centimeters to 1 unit on the x-axis and 2 centimeters to represent 5 units on the y-axis to draw the graph for the relation y is equal to 4x squared minus 8x minus 21. The fact that we have been given the scale to use go a long way to simplify the question for us. That means we just know the scale, we will abide by that scale. But then this B2 is going to be quite interesting. We have to use the graph to find the solution set of this. I want to clarify that before going ahead to populate the table. We are told to use the graph. Now that is the key point. The same graph that we plot for y is equal to 4x squared minus 8x minus 21. We are going to use the same graph to find the solution for this particular two equations that we are given. And now let me just put us through the guide that will help us to use that graph to solve for it. Originally, we are giving y to be 4x squared minus 8x minus 21. But here in question 2 alpha, what we have here is 4x squared minus 8x is equal to 3. All we need to do to make sure that we can use the same graph to solve this particular equation is to make sure that y reflects in this particular expression that we are given. So our process is going to just ensure that we are going to manipulate this equation and reflect y in it. And I want you to just follow with what I'm going to do. Looking at this equation, I have a left hand side and a right hand side. And looking at y, you can see that 4x squared is here, we have 4x squared here. Minus 8x is here, we have minus 8x here. But minus 21 is missing. And for me to bring in minus 21, I can just say to this equation, subtract 21 from both sides. Okay? If I'm doing that to both sides, that means that I'm doing it to the left hand side and to the right hand side. I can say subtract 21 or add minus 21. Those are the same thing. So if I'm to do that, that will imply that I will have something like this. 4x squared minus 8x. Then I want to subtract 21 minus 21. Okay, is equal to 3 again minus 21. What I'm doing to the left hand side, I'm also doing to the right hand side. And if you look at it critically, if I'm to move this minus 21 to the left hand side, it will be minus 21 plus 21, and that will be 0. And I will have this original equation. So I'm on track with what I'm doing, and I know that this will imply that this equation will now become something suitable, such like this. We have the left hand side now. Look at it. Is that not the same thing as y? That is now y. Okay, so this is y, and I can easily just say this means that y is equal to, what is 3 minus 21? 3 minus 21 is minus 18. So y is minus 18. This is going to be a straight line graph because it's a constant, not depending on x, and I can easily get that on the graph. And the point of intersection with this particular quadratic is what is going to be the root, the solution to this particular one. So let's do the other one. Let's do this beta, in which now we are given 4x squared minus 7x minus 21 is equal to 0. Again, we are looking for a means of translating this equation to reflect y, which was the original equation that we are working with. And if you look at it critically, the first term, 4x squared, this is also 4x squared. Those are the same. The last term, minus 21, this is also minus 21. Those are also the same. But looking at the second term, you have minus 8x and minus 7x. What do we need to do to this minus 7x to reflect minus 8x? It's as simple as just subtracting x from both sides. Because if I say minus 7x minus x, that will be minus 8x. But what I do to the left hand side, I must also do to the right hand side. So I can say subtract x from both sides of the equation. These are the guidelines that will help you to effectively solve this question. Students run away from it, but it's as simple as this. So I'm going to have 4x squared minus 7x, and then the x I want to subtract, minus x minus 21 is equal to 0 minus x. Okay, and if I'm to work on that, that means what I'm going to have is 4x squared minus 7x minus x. That is 4x squared minus 8x. And 4x squared minus 8x minus 21, that is y. So I can say this is y is equal to minus x. Okay, so these are the two new graphs that we need to actually plot on the graph of y is equal to 4x squared minus 8x minus 21, and the point of intersection will be the solution to this particular one. So having cleared this, I can now go to copy and complete the table of values and then plot my graph. I hope you are ready for that. Okay, let's go. Now, this is a breakdown of the table that we are given initially, that is now reflecting all the inputs of the equation we have 4x square, and you can see this 4x square is 4x square. We have minus 8x, this is minus 8x, and we have minus 21. This is minus 21. Okay, so what we are going to do is that all of these entries, we are going to be putting them into this table, leaving out the ones that have been done initially for us. We just focus on those ones that are yet to be done. But first, I want to confirm with the first case so that you can see that what was gotten and what was given to us, and what we are going to be and what we will be working with and what we'll be working on are actually going to be the same. Okay, so here in the first case, we have when x is equal to minus 2, x squared will be minus 2 raised to power 2, and we know that that is 4. Okay, now that 4 times 4, that is 16. So here we will have 16. All right, then minus 8 multiplied by x will be minus 8 multiplied by minus 2. Minus times minus will become plus. 8 times 2 will become 16. So here we also have 16. Minus 21 is not taking any value of the variable, so it's a constant. And in short, throughout all of this row, all the entries are going to remain the same, and they will retain minus 21 as a value. So the task before us is to say, if we want to add 16 plus 16 minus 21, because we want to add this total column now in blue, the values in blue, that's what we need to add. That will be 16 plus 16 is 32, and 32 minus 21, that will be 2 minus 1 is 1, and 3 minus 2 is 1, that will be 11. So you can see that is why here they gave us 11 as that initial value. So it is this format that we're going to use to compute all of the other values, and I will just do some 2 examples, and then I will populate the table so that we can move on with the question. Okay, so now let me take this particular first entry. We have minus 1.5. First, we need to find the square of minus 1.5. So we can say, in short, let's just put the 4 multiplied by it also. 4 multiplied by minus 1.5 raised to power 2. Okay, that's what is going to come here. So if I take my calculator, 4 multiplied by minus 1.5 raised to power 2 is what? That is 9. Okay, so this is 9. So this value here will be 9. Then minus 8 times minus 1.5. Now this is the same as if we are saying minus 8 times minus 3 over 2, because 1.5 is 3 over 2. So the negative sign will multiply each other to become plus. 8 times 3 over 2 will be 4 times 3, and that will be 12. Okay, that's how you work minimally without engaging the calculator again and again. And here I told us minus 21 is a constant that we need to repeat, and here we have minus 21. So we need to add all of these 3 so that we can get the value for y. And if we do that, 9 plus 12, that is 21. 21 minus 21, this is 0. All right, so that is how to go about getting this particular value. So you can see how we go about just finding those values. Maybe I should just pick one more. Okay, so now let's look at minus 0.5. Now I want to find 4 multiplied by minus 0.5 raised to power 2. Minus 0.5 is itself minus 1 over 2. Okay, so if I square that, that will be 1 over 4. And if I multiply by 4, the 4 will cancel, and I'm going to have 1. So that is 1. Okay, so here minus 8 times minus 0.5. Like I said before, 0.5 is like half. The negative sign will multiply each other to become plus. 8 times 1 over 2, that will be 4. All right, and then here I told us is a constant. I have minus 21, and if you just go ahead to sum everything, 1 plus 4, that is 5. 5 minus 21, that will be minus 16. Okay, that will be minus 16. So That is the way to go about doing all of those. Alternatively, if you want to make use of the calculator, you can just make a single point entry. I just want to do this so that you can move on with it. On our calculator, we can input this particular equation and say 4x raised to the power 2, then let me come out of that, minus 8x minus 8x and minus 21 minus 21. Then we can use the calc button to put in all the various values of x. For example, in this case, when x is 1, I can just say calculate what is the value of x. Just take 1.0 as the value of x, and then you can see that is giving me that when x is 1.0, the value for y is minus 25. So I can say this is minus 25. And then again, when x is 1.5, I can just say calculate. I will just change the value of x here, 1.5, and that is equal to what? That is minus 24. So I can say this is minus 24. Okay, and then when x is 2.5, I can just say calc 2.5, then equal to x is 2.5 and y is what? Y is minus 16. So this is minus 16. All right, when x is 3.0, you can say calc 3.0, then y will be minus 9, and you can see that was done initially and that was correct. And I can just do the final one. When x is 4, I can just calc for x is equal to 4.0, then y will be 11. So this will be 11. I deliberately did that so that you can have a feel of whether you want to do your calculation stepwise or you want to use the calculator to quickly solve for that. As a DIY, just go ahead and populate all these other points and confirm that all the answer we got, okay, is also what you will get when you are working directly without using the calculator or using the calculator to input the function. That is how you build proficiency in generating this table. So having this now, we can go and input all of this into the table. So I have 0 here, minus 9, then minus 16. When x is 1, y is minus 25. When x is 1.5, y is minus 24. When x is 2.5, y is minus 16. And when x is 4.0, y is 11. So this table will now, we've copied and we've completed it. You can now go ahead to draw our graph. But before we go ahead to start plotting the graph, you recall that here for this alpha we say y is equal to minus 18, but for this particular case we said y is equal to minus x. Okay, now if y is equal to minus x, we also need the table of values for this particular y being equals to minus x. Okay, so that means you also need to note that y for y being minus x, we also need some data values. For example, in the first case, when x is minus 2, what will be minus x? That will be minus 2. Like I used to say, the negative signs will multiply each other and that will give us 2.0. Okay, when x is minus 1.5, y will be 1.5. When x is equal to minus 1, y will be 1.0. Okay, in short, because it's just negating it, all the values of y will be the negative values of x. Here it will be 0.5, and then 0 will not carry any sign. But when x is 0.5, y will be minus 0.5. When x is 1, y will be minus 1.0. When x is 1.5, y will be minus 1.5. When x is 2.0, y will be minus 2.0. When x is 2.5, y will be minus 2.5. When x is 3, y will be minus 3.0. When x is 3.5, y will be minus 3.5. And when x is 4, y will be minus 4.0. This particular table, we also need to note because we'll be making use of it also. Okay, so I'm just adding that for you to be well prepared for all the table of values. So now, with all the information that we have been given and all the calculations that we have deduced up to this point, we need to go ahead to plot our graph as requested. Now, we've been given the scale, and that is as shown here. You can see that's the scale that we are to use. We have generated our table of values for y is equal to 4x squared minus 8x minus 21. We have known that the very first equation we're asked to solve amounted to y is equal to minus 18, and the second amounted to y is equal to minus x. So all of these we are going to start putting on the graph. Now, looking at the scale that we are given and the table of values that we have, we need to locate the central point of the graph that will make sure that the graph we are going to plot is going to be centralized. It's not going to skew to the right, to the left, up or down. Okay, so here we're just told 2 centimeters to 1 unit on x-axis, 2 centimeters to 5 units on y-axis. So if I just want to make some rough scale, here we have minus 2 to 4. So 2 centimeters to 1 unit will mean that, let's say I have minus 2 here. This will be minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see now I'm tilted towards this left, and I still have space here. Can you see? This is a lot of space. So I should move that towards the right. But I've noticed that I know if I just move it like, if 4 is here, and I have 3, 2, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. I think this is better. So I have minus to the left and then the positive to the right. This is not centralized. I'm okay with that. But what about the y-axis? On the y-axis, I have my maximum value to be 11 that is featured there, and then the minimum to be minus 25. So minus 25. But then I'm told that we were told that we are to use 2 centimeters to 5 units. But then we're told that 2 centimeters is to represent 5 units on the y-axis. So if we are to start like here, we have let's say we have minus 25, then minus 20, minus 15, minus 10, minus 5, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, this is symmetrical. We have the same number above as we have below, but it will shift the base of our graph to this. But look at the uppermost part, we are only going to stop around 11, which will be here. But here we have 25 here. So we're going to have a whole lot of space at the top. Then I should also move that upward. So if I want to do it correctly, I think my origin should start from, say, here. And let me just show you that. If I'm to use that and I have my origin here, so here I will be 0, then I will be minus 5, minus 10, minus 15, minus 20, minus 25. Then I have 5, 10, 15. I think this is better. Okay, so that will put a symmetrical look to my graph. Then I can say this is my horizontal line and this is my vertical line. So this place will be the point of origin. I'm going to just do that now. I'll just clear the board. So here I have my horizontal axis, and there I have my vertical axis. You can easily get that effect by making use of a straight ruler. So this is my x, and here this is my y. So I can choose it to be 0. This is minus 5, minus 10, minus 15, minus 20, minus 25, minus 30. Okay, that is 2 centimeters representing 5 units on the y-axis. So here, this is 5, this is 10, and this is 15. Okay, so each of these 2 centimeters have been accorded 5 units as requested on the scale, and then on the y-axis we are going to have, to the positive x-axis we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And to the negative, we have minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, and minus 5. Okay, so that is as appropriate. Then we now need to plot in the graph of y is equal to 4x squared minus 8x minus 21. We are going to be taking the corresponding values. For example, when x is minus 2, we need to locate minus 2. So here, this is minus 2. Yeah, that's minus 2. And then y is 11. Look at this. Here, I'm having 5 smaller boxes. Okay, so 0 to 5, that is 2 centimeters, consists of 5 boxes. Okay, and then I'm trying to look for 11, meaning that I can just take each of these boxes as a single entity. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see 5 is landing on that tick box. So I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 11 will be immediately after that. So here, this is 11, and it is the point of intersection of 11 going towards the left hand side, and minus 2 going towards the uppermost part. Here, this point of intersection is what I need to take note of as the point of intersection of x is minus 2 and y is 11. Okay, so that is it. This is x is minus 2, y is 11. It is this location here that I shaded thickly, that is that intersection point. So that's what I need to correctly put in on the graph as a point to note. So if I'm to do that, I can say here I have 1 point. Okay, then when x is 0, y is minus 1.5. This is minus 1, this is minus 2. This is minus 1, this is minus 2. In between the two of them, here, just exactly dividing them, is minus 1.5, and it is the point that is corresponding to 0. So I can just note it that here in the middle I have another value. Then when x is minus 1, x is minus 1 now, this is minus 1, y is minus 9. Okay, since we have gotten that scale ratio, so this will be coming down. Y being minus 9 will be just before 10. So here, so this point of intersection, that will be x is minus 1 and y is minus 9. So I can also note that and say this point is the point of interest, the point of intersection. And when x is minus 0.5, okay, that's here, y is minus 16. Minus 16 is here, and they are intersecting together right about here. Okay, so that's just how to go about sorting that. This is it, blue ink. All right, then next, when x is 0, y is minus 21. That is this location. And then next, when x is 0.5, y is minus 24. So 0.5 here, minus 24 here, the intersection is this point. Okay, so I need to just get that here, minus 24 and 0.5. Then when x is 1, we have minus 25, and that is located here. Okay, you can see that this is 1 coming down here and minus 25 going here. This point of intersection, that is the point of interest for us. Then when x is 1.5 and y is minus 24, so 1.5, and again we are going back to minus 24, just like we got previously. So we are seeing the point of inflection where the curve is returning back upwards. That's a typical quadratic graph. Okay, that's the minimum value. And then when x is 2.0, y is minus 21, this is 2, and here is minus 21. That's why I'm noticing it here. And then when x is 2.5, y is minus 16, so that is here. And when x is 3, y is minus 9. It will just be symmetrical to what we had initially. And then when x is 3.5, y is 0. Okay, just on the number line. And finally, when x is 4, y is 11. This is 4 and 11. Okay, so it is these blue points that we now need to join together to complete our graph. Now, I advocate that students, when you are doing this in the exam, make use of the broomstick of your French curve to perfectly get a very clean line. Just trying to get the line of best fit. I'm using freehand here. You can just make use of your French curve, and with that you'll be able to get your graph. Okay, it can be better than this if you are using your French curve, and that means you also do well to label appropriately. This is y is equal to 4x squared minus 8x minus 21. Okay, then that means we are through with the very A part, the question on the A part. But looking at the B part, look at what we're asked to compute. Y is equal to minus 18. What we need to do here, there is no, y is not depending on x, it's just a constant, and the constant is minus 18, meaning that we are going to look at where minus 18 is. This is minus 15, this is minus 20, and we have said that the increment in this particular graph is just one unit. So minus 15, minus 16, minus 17, minus 18 is going to be here. So here I have it as okay. So this is y is equal to minus 18. But then we also need to find the value of y to be minus x. If you recollect, I dropped the table the other time that means we just negate the value of x. For example, when x is minus 2, here, what is y? Y is going to be 2, and that will, okay, let me use red ink for this. When x is minus 2, y is 2, and that is here. Red ink is just going to be like the graph. Let me look for a color. What color can we use? Okay, let me make use of this deep green. So when x is minus 2, y will be minus of x. So that means y will be 2. This is it here. Okay. When x is minus 1.5, here y will also be the negative of that. That will be 1.5, and that is here. Okay, because this will be relating with this. Okay. And have it here. Okay. When x is minus 1.0, y will now be 1. This will be here. Okay. And when x is minus 0.5, y will be 0.5. So that will be here, because here this is minus 0.5 for the x, and here this is 0.5 for the y. Okay, so that is just how we work it out. It's quite strenuous to the eye, but no problem. When x is 0, y will be minus 0, and that will still be 0 just by the origin. You can see this is how our line, our graph is going to go, but we can just still continue to the end. When x is 0.5, y will be minus 0.5, and that will be here, okay? But this is 0.5, and this between this small box is minus 0.5 for y. All right, and when x is 1, y will be minus 1. It is this very first box. When x is 1.5, y will be minus 1.5. That will be here in between the box, here and here, coming together, okay? And when x is 2, y will be minus 2. When x is 2.5, y will be minus 2.5. When x is 3, y will be minus 3. Okay. When x is 3.5, y will be minus 3.5. When x is 4, y will be minus 4. Alright. Those values are quite small. And then, appropriately, we need to join all the dots to make a straight line. So, let me just join. Okay, good. That's not bad. Then let me also take it back. Alright, so I can now label this to say this is y is equal to minus x. Now let's take it piecewise. For the solution to y is equal to minus 18, how do we get the answer to that? We look at this point of intersection here and here, and we trace to the x-axis to see the value that we get there. That will be what is the solution to this particular one. So if I want to trace, I just want to trace and take my red ink and use that to trace. Okay, and here also. So this value here and this value here are going to be the solution to this particular first question. So the solution is x is equal to, in the first case, we know that from 0 to minus 1, those 5 boxes, they constitute minus 1, meaning that each small boxes is 0.2. okay, so here we have from here to here minus 0.2, again minus 0.4, again minus 0.6, again minus 0.8, and then minus 1.0. And then what we have here will be just the first box minus 0.2. It did not get to the second box, so I can say it is in between the first box and the second box. First box is minus 0.2, the second one is minus 0.4. In between them, I can take as minus 0.3. That is on the negative axis. Then here I have 2.2, 2.4. It is all 2.3, which happens to be in between those two ones. All right, and then for this other one, this y is equal to minus x, we also look at the point of intersection here and we draw down, and here, okay, that's going to be one of the solution, and the other solution will be coming here, and if we also draw it up, is here, and we can see, looking at that, just the same way we evaluated this previous one, we can see that x is equal to, now this is minus 1, minus 1.2, minus 1.4, minus 1.6, minus 1.6, or in the other case, we have 3.2, 3.4, or x is 3.4. Okay, so those are the values that we need to note, and with it we have been able to answer the question on this graph as appropriate. Right? The curved surface areas of two cones are equal. The base radius of one is 5 centimeters and the slant height is 12 centimeters. We are to calculate the height of the second cone if its base radius is 6 centimeters. Okay? If we want to depict these two cones, so we're having something like this and another cone just like this. Didn't get this first cone right, but just let's follow through. Okay, let's say these are the two cones. Then we are told that the base radius of one is 5 centimeters. So this base radius, this is 5 centimeters, and the slant height, what's the meaning of slant height? It is this inclined height. Okay, so this is 12 centimeters. Now we have to calculate the height of the second cone if its base radius is 6 centimeters. Look at what they are telling us. They are asking us for the height, not the slant height now. Okay, that means that what we are looking for is this height. Okay, if I'm to call that height, let me call it h, but we are given that its base radius is 6 centimeters. So here this is 6 centimeters. Okay, so we are looking for the height, not the slant height h. But then if we are to say this slant height is x, noting that we are told that the curved surface areas of the two cones are equal, we can use that as the hint to solve this question. But first we need to understand what is the formula for the curved surface area of a cone. You know that the curved surface area of cone is given as pi RL. Okay, so for the cone A and the cone B, the two cones that we are given, we can say if this is, let's say this is A and this is B. For the A, the curved surface area will be pi, what's the radius? The radius is 5 multiplied by the slant height, that is 12. Okay, that is equal to, for the second one, pi, what's the radius? That's 6. And what is the slant height? We don't know it, we tag it as x. Okay, from here the pi's can cancel each other so that we have 6x will be 60. So 6x is equal to 5 times 12, that's 60. Therefore x will be 60 over 6, and that will be 10 centimeters. But we just got the slant height. If we stop there, we are not going to get our full mark. What we are being asked is to get the height of the second cone. So to get the height of the second cone, we can see that we now have something like this. From the cone we have something like this. Okay, so this base is 6 centimeters. This height is what we are looking for, and we just got this slant height to be centimeters. Already you can see that this is a right angle triangle, and we can use the Pythagoras theorem to actually evaluate the value of h. From the Pythagoras theorem, we know that the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the square of the opposite plus the square of the adjacent. Okay, so h square will be 10 square minus 6 square. 10 raised to power 2 is 100 minus 6 raised to power 2 is 36. So h square is equal to 100 minus 36 is 64, so that h will be the square root of 64, and the square root of 64 is 8 centimeters. So the height of the second cone is 8 centimeters. All right. Given the matrices A to be 2, 5, minus 1 and minus 3, and B to be 3, minus 2, 4 and 1, we have to find the product BA and the determinant of BA. To solve this question, what we need to keep in mind in working with matrices is that we have to find BA, not AB, because BA is not the same as AB. The fact that they first give us A and then B, students may be lured to evaluate A multiplied by B and not B multiplied by A and S. So you need to note BA for matrices is not equal to AB. So let's go ahead and find the solution to what we are asked here. In the first instance, we are asked to find BA. BA is going to be the product of 2, not 2 now, you see, that's a mistake. BA is going to be the product of 3 minus 2, 4, 1, and 2, 5, minus 1, minus 3. Okay, so how do we evaluate this product? What we do is that first we take this first row and use it to multiply this column, and after that we use it to multiply this column, and then we also take the second row and use it to multiply this column, and then use it to multiply this column. We are going to carry that out now and you will see for yourself. Confirming that we got the order correctly, it is BA, not AB. We can now say this is going to give us 3 multiplied by 2, 3 multiplied by 2, okay, plus minus 2 multiplied by minus 1, minus 2 multiplied by minus 1. That is this row multiplying this column. Then we'll go to the second column, the same row multiplying the second column now, but we'll do it entry-wise. 3 multiplied by 5, 3 multiplied by 5, plus minus 2 multiplied by minus 3, minus 2 multiplied by minus 3. Okay? Then I can say I want to close that bracket. And then we'll go to the second row now, 4, 1, and multiply it with these columns. Okay? So we are going to have 4 times 2 plus 1 times minus 1, 1 times minus 1. And then again, 4 times 5, 4 times 5 multiplied by 1 times minus 3 plus 1 times minus 3. Okay, now look at the symmetry of what we have here. We have 2, we have minus 1, we have 5, we have minus 3. Okay, but here we have 3, 3, minus 2, minus 2, and we have 4, 4, 1, and 1. That's the symmetry you should watch out for whenever you are carrying out multiplication of matrices, so that you will know and ensure that you are on the right track. So if you have to evaluate this, this is going to give us 3 times 2, that is 6, minus 2 times minus 1, that is plus 2. Okay, in this case 3 times 5, that is 15, minus 2 times minus 3, that is plus 6, because the negative signs will multiply each other and become positive. Then 2 times 3 is 6. Then 4 times 2, that is 8. 1 times minus 1, that is minus 1. So we have 8 minus 1. And here 4 times 5, that is 20. 1 times minus 3, that is minus 3. Okay, so if you are to get that, 6 plus 2 is 8. 15 plus 6 is 21. 8 minus 1 is 7. And 20 minus 3 is 17. Okay, so this is the solution to BA, but here we're asked to find determinant of BA also. Let's just do that. The determinant of BA will be evaluated as this: 8, 21, 7, and 17. And how do we go about that? We use the product of this leading diagonal, 8 and 17 here. We multiply them, and then we subtract the product of 21 and 7 from it. So this is how we do that. We just say this is the same as 8 times 17 minus 7 times 21. So what's that going to give us from the calculator? 8 times 17 minus 7 times 21. That is minus 11. Or if I just want to work it out, 8 times 17, that's 136. That's 136 minus 7 times 21, that is 147. Okay, and that will be, oh, all right, 136 minus 147. Okay, since 147 is greater, you say 7 minus 6, that is 1. 4 minus 3, that is 1. Then we'll carry the negative sign. This is minus 11 as we got initially. Alright. And yes, we have come to the end of this wonderful tutorial on the WAEC GCE Private Candidate 1 exam for 2019, while we are looking at the general mathematics paper. I just want to leave you with this advice. You don't just get proficient by watching and doing nothing afterwards. It's good, I know that you have taken your time to invest all this period for hours looking at this video, but it shouldn't stop at that. Now take the bold step to get your hands dirty and also work so that you can master all these questions. We'll touch quite a whole lot of things, but the better you practice, but the more you practice, the better you are going to become. And we are sincerely praying that that academic excellence that you are aiming for, that will take you launch out into the deep and sit with a video like this and watch and watch and watch again. We are praying that that diligence will pay off and you will have outstanding results to show for them in Jesus' name. It's Day Academy, and until next time, God bless you.